All right, so remember that thought while I do the intro, which is very short.
During the few moments that we have left, we want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Tell the lawyer, the judge, tell the priest. It's the whole fucking Talbot Show.
Welcome to another episode of Marked. I'm joined this time by a good mate of mine, Sam Barber, who needs no introduction, so I'm going to introduce her. Sam is a colour realist. I think that's a fair comment. Colour realist with her own unique style, multi-award winning, world traveller, level 11 scab merchant, and that's really all you need to do. Head over to her Instagram, which will be linked in the description. If you want to have a look at Sam's work. I doubt very much, if you're interested in tattooing, that you haven't seen Sam's work. And you join us about 10 minutes into a conversation, and that's why I was asking Sam to hold the thought that she was just saying, because my first question to her was, what are you up to outside of tattooing? And so you've been telling me that you were... You've started painting.
Yes.
So welcome to my new podcast, mate. I think this is going to be episode 5 or something like that. So what kind of painting have you got into and why?
At the moment, just the learning side, because I've done oil painting before, but dove straight into, massive painting.
Yeah, because why would you start small?
Of course. Of course.
I'll do the Sistine Chapel as my first bit.
Yeah, well overconfident for no reason whatsoever, other than I've just decided I'll be great at something.
Yeah,
and
why
then
not?
Quickly realised, okay, this isn't as easy as I thought it would be. It's pretty stressful. So,
but you said to me, you we both have a common love-hate relationship with social media. It's to me, social media is just like email. It's something that I do because I have to for business. I don't do it because I enjoy it in any way at all. And you were saying to me that you've gone back to more organic, analog, doing it with your hands kind of things
100%.
Rather than digital stuff.
If I could tattoo without social media at all, 100%, I'd delete it right now. If someone just said, you'll be booked up until you want to quit tattooing and you don't need social media, gone. Poof.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Well, I think if you stick around for a couple of years, I think we'll all be tattooing without social media pretty soon anyway. Because I think most of the platforms are starting to look like MySpace did when Facebook came out, if you can remember that. MySpace was that big thing where all the tattoos were, and then all of a sudden everybody moved over to Facebook and MySpace was like a graveyard. And I think Instagram feels like that to me at the moment. And I don't know about you, but I have absolutely zero interest in TikTok whatsoever.
To be fair, before the last couple of weeks, I actually used TikTok more. I don't post on it, but I have an account just for watching stuff because my algorithm on TikTok was brilliant. Whereas Instagram, it's, just whatever shit comes up, and the tattoo stuff can be cool, but, it's not all. But TikTok, I had it down to a T. So mine was movie trailers, book reviews, vegan recipes,
Perfect.
cute animal stuff. So I was like, there's no politics, no, people's opinions on everything. None of that. That was my little, just have a flick through that. That looks like a great movie. I'll stick that on the list of things to watch.
Beth uses TikTok for restaurants to visit when she's on holiday and things like that. All good. If she's going somewhere on holiday, she'll go, where are a bunch of good places to see? And so she uses it for that. I'm like, I go places I've already been, so I know where the things are.
I think it's the same content across both platforms, but I just had the algorithm trained better because I weren't posting tattoo stuff or looking at tattoo stuff, so it worked.
A lot of people have said that to me about the TikTok algorithm is an absolute banger. It really, it kind of. I mean, my Instagram, even though I don't use an iPad for anything, it will not stop showing me brushes for Procreate, and I'm like, but I don't even use Procreate. I can't remember the last time I even opened it. You know what I mean?
Some of the shit that comes up, it's like, why does it think I'm interested in this in the slightest?
Yeah, I don't get it, but I don't think it's funny because I was chatting with, I think it was Gabe I was chatting with last time, and what interests me about what you said about the analog thing is, like, Gabe is very into the AI side of things and how AI can help us run businesses and all that sort of stuff. And he's always going on at me about employing AI in my business to do a bunch of stuff. And I said to him, yeah, but the thing is, Gabe, what I want to do is I want to do a completely human business, and I want to do exactly the opposite of that. So when you phone the studio, you get a human being. When you email me, it's actually me answering my email, not a team. The only time you speak to somebody else about something to do with my tattooing is when you're talking to Karen about how to get to the studio and like what the bank details are and things like that. So we're trying to do everything in a completely organic manner, because we try and run the studio almost like a restaurant. You know, when you book a table in a restaurant, it's nice to be greeted and like, oh, good to see you back and all that sort of stuff. Because I think a good studio, it's like a weird little gang gut, isn't it? Where everybody turns up and there's the guys are bullshitting each other all day, and there's terrible music playing and arguments going on. Sometimes it's the clients arguing about whether Nickelback are any good or not, or something like that. And I just think that's the fun bit. And I always put it down to maybe I'm old enough, because you probably won't remember this, but like in the early days of Windows 95, there used to be a thing that was a fucking paperclip that came on the screen. I think his name was.
Him.
Do you remember fucking Clippy?
Yeah. And it'd give you like some help.
Yeah, and it would fuck up
wrong.
anything you were doing. Like you're there trying to write your CV for a new job. Hi, I'm Clippy. Do you want some help? And he'd just completely fuck up the entire document. That's how I think of all of the chatbots when I see them on websites. I'm like, oh, please fuck off and leave me alone with it.
I know what you mean. They are irritating. If you've got to ring a company, it's like you're just never speaking to a real person, ever.
And it's so much faster when you just speak to somebody on the phone. When you just go, can we not just do this? And so my gut feeling is that tattooing is going to be one of those industries that people come back to as the last of the artisan crafts, like, leather making and thatched roofs and a blacksmith and, the chimney sweep. And
I hope so. I hope we can keep it that way.
Well, I think my gut feeling is that I think that everything's going to get very fake. I think there's going to be loads of artists that are using.
We're already there.
Well, I think we're already there. There's loads of artists who'll be employing AI to make their artwork for them, and then they're just making a copy of it. But then that just means that it all starts looking the same, because you can tell what that stuff, because it looks a certain way, all that shit does. And so you can see it. So then what happens then is the people that stand out, even if they're doing stuff that's like, I don't want to say technically bad, because I don't think that's the right thing, but the kind of people that I follow on the internet that are doing some fucking really out there shit with tattoo machines, where you go, is that even fucking legal, let alone art? Well, I think those kind of tattooists are the people that are going to rise up, is the people that have got some kind of interesting point to make, and it's not just about technical prowess, which is, of course, very important. We all want to be at the apex of, brilliant technique and brilliant art. I think Jason Butcher said it best when he said something along the lines of his artwork for him is the intersection between preparation and execution. You know what I mean? So you do all the kind of technical preparation to make sure you've got it, and then the execution is, you want to do that. And I think that's got to be the next modern set of tattoo artists that are making it. They're not the people that copy stuff off the internet and all that sort of stuff. I just don't. I think there'll be a lot of clients that want to make their own artwork shortly, that will just go onto Midjourney, make their artwork, and want people to just copy it.
I don't even think of that. Yeah, I bet there is. I've not had that yet, to be honest. I'm surprised that that's not already a thing. I can imagine it will be very soon.
I think so. I think that it would be. We're not far away from from people just going, well, I'll just use ChatGPT, do loads of variations, get the one that I want, upscale it, and then it will become the artist's job to turn that. Hopefully,
but that's the rubbish bit, because when they were just a printer,
yeah,
and that's for me, it's why, like, no disrespect to anyone that does portraits. Obviously, that's a whole skill in itself, and
yeah.
But it's only that I find it boring to do, because the enjoyment I have in tattooing is the design process. Someone gives me a random idea or a book they like or a movie. That's my absolute, like, they're my dream scenarios. I'm like, oh, brilliant, leave it with me. A few days, like, I'll spend like hours. I'll go down that rabbit hole of like reading the book, watching the movies, researching the characters, the world, and then bring it to life. Yeah. Seeing their reaction that I've brought something to life. That's the fun bit. The actual tattooing bit, that's easy. It's like, I just watch movies all day, stick my headphones in, watch films and just colour in. Like, that's easy.
So I've got a question for you.
That's the boring bit.
Do you like jigsaws?
Probably. I like any type of puzzle in a way.
Right, okay, because you like puzzles, right? So I hate jigsaws. Do you know why? Because and it's the same reason why I don't like doing portraits.
I know
right?
why.
Because when you get the jigsaw,
pictures on the box, so you know what it's going to look like at the end.
So there's what I'd rather have is the jigsaw didn't tell you what the picture was, and you had to make it and figure out what the fuck it was. That would be more interesting to me. So like when people say to me, "Oh, you could replace your process with AI and make all the artwork," I'm like, "Yeah, but the AI would be taking away the fun bit."
Yeah,
I mean, the tattoo, by the time you get to the tattooing bit, you've done all this preparation. All you're really doing is being the world's slowest printer now. You're just transferring it. And it's not boring, but it's the outcome is inevitable because you know where you're going to end up, aren't you? The artwork that's on a piece of paper in front of me is going to end up on the client's body exactly the same as what's printed out. So to me, that's just process at that point. It's just like sit down, move your needles, listen to music, do your thing, walk your way through it. But the fun bit happened a few days ago when I was wrestling
loads of ideas and
how
throwing
the fuck do I get this to go together?
The challenge.
I spent about 2 hours the other day trying to. I've got a yellow element, which is really important. That's got to be yellow because it's to do with Nirvana. But I'd also got a red element in the tattoo. That's also got to be red because it's to do with Nirvana. I was like, I spent about 2 hours to try desperately go in. I've got to make one of these the foreground, but because they're the same, they're on the same area of the colour wheel. I'm like, I can't fucking make the bastard stand out. How do I push one of them back then? But that's the fun bit. When I tattoo it, I won't consider any of that because I made that decision. It's all been done. All I'm doing is copying the stencil.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think my gut feeling is that right now, if you do a business that is hard to automate and hard to scale, you're safe.
Yeah.
And the whole point of doing like a hard to scale business is, we greet all of our clients. We bought £1,000 coffee machine so they can have a decent fucking cup of coffee in the shop, and we remember their names and all that. So they're always surprised that that you go, all right, Dave, how was your heel or something. It's like, but we try and treat people like what they are. They're important because they're rare. They're clients. They're becoming rarer by the day, right? And I think businesses that run that way are not, like if you're trying to build 27 studios across the country that are like the Claire's accessories of tattooing, then I think it's very easy for Nike. I don't know if you've seen this, but Nike have just started a tattoo school. Of
course, I've been sent it about 300 times.
Yeah, I imagine you have. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, like, it would be very easy for Nike to buy one of these chain store tattoo companies or to build their own because it's easy to scale, right? It's not personal. Whereas the two people working in a private studio on their own, there are two weirdo vegan hippies making, hand-stitched artwork or something. They're the people that are going to be safe because nobody's going to bother scaling that because there's not enough money in it. So, and tattooing, I know it is a big business, but it's never really been founded on big business, has it? It's always been mom and pop stores and, doing the thing because you love it, not necessarily for millions of pounds, just enough to pay your bills and all that sort of stuff. And that's really, for me, the heart of tattooing is like, working class people putting really fucking wicked artwork on working class people. You know what I mean? It's
just that privilege of like, on our side of like, I get to actually do art as a job, which isn't the case for so many people.
No, exactly.
And that's the biggest privilege. So why would I want to just do someone else's art? It's like, I'd rather do a different job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pointless for me. Like, if I get to do my cool ideas on people, then I'm happy and I get paid for it. And if there's not enough clients, fine, I'll sit at home and draw them.
Well, I've said to you before now, it's like, I'd rather do that because if I've got to do my job, only the shit version of it, then I don't want to do the job at all.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped playing music because I didn't want to play in a covers band. No offence to covers bands, it's just not for me. But I didn't want to play someone else's music. I wanted to stand on a stage and play my own music. And so the idea of going and playing, Bon Jovi's, like hits for the evening for people just didn't appeal to me because I was like, well, get fucking Bon Jovi to play them. That's not my, to me, that was like a shit version of what I dreamt about. So, and I think we are incredibly lucky because you're an artist that gets recognised in their own lifetime. That's fucking rare. We make a living out of art, which is rare. We make a good living out of art, which is very rare.
Get to travel. Location's not important. You can go anywhere and do it.
Yeah, I mean, both my kids are. My son's 30 now, my daughter's 24, and I've said to them, both of them, I said the one thing, because I got into tattooing late, I said the one thing that I would do if I'd have had the opportunity is, while I've got very little in the way of responsibilities, I'd have hit the fucking road with my tattoo machines for as long as I could. And just experience the world. Because yourself, the more you travel, the more shit you see around the world, the better worldview that you've got. I see the world very differently from the 18-year-old version of me. You know what I mean? I like the world is I think it makes you more accepting of other people's ideas, other people's cultures, because you're in their country and you go, oh, right, and if that's how it works here, that's how I'll do it. I think we're very lucky. So we've put it off long enough, because everybody knows why we're here. If you're listening to this in the future, this will probably still make sense, but I just need to give you a little bit of context. Recently, Sam made the fatal mistake of saying the quiet bit loud. And what she basically did was, sometimes this happens in tattooing, and we get another version of a tattoo gate. Sam said something that's obviously on everybody's minds. She said it very eloquently and very directly. And over the last week or two now, it's kind of been the only thing that fucking Instagram is talking about, And so I invited Sam to come on the podcast and to talk with me about the post that she made and some of our thoughts about it. Now, before we start talking about that, it's really important because I know it's different around the world, right? So me and Sam are only commenting on the way tattooing is in England and the regulations about the UK. That's excluding Wales, actually, because Wales have a different set of regulations from us now. So we're not talking about America. We can't comment on other parts of the world. We are literally commenting on the UK and specifically England and I guess Scotland a little bit, because Scotland has still got similar rules to us. So the question is, Sam, what the fuck is wrong with tattoo schools?
Everything. Fucking hell. Where to begin?
Yeah.
The only people defending tattoo schools are the people who are making fucking money off tattoo schools.
And that's a good point, right? Because there's a huge financial element to this, isn't there? The financial element towards tattoo schools is, in my opinion, I think it's the main motivating factor. It's not education as the main motivator.
I think it's the only.
Right, okay.
I've not seen one person doing these courses who seems like, he seems like a fucking nice guy.
Yeah.
They all seem like knobheads.
Yeah.
All of them. I've lost all give a shit at this point of who the fuck's offended by what I say, because you're calling yourself out, to be honest.
One of the things that I think is interesting is whenever they get criticism, their answer to criticism always seems to be, look at the dashboard of my fancy car, look at my holiday.
And my nice watch.
How about we look at the artwork, or how about, instead of you worrying about your fancy car, how about if you empty the bins in your studio and mop the fucking floor, you dirty bastard? That to me seems to be, like, it's almost like they're selling tattooing or being a tattooist as a lifestyle choice.
Oh, of course, it's all bullshit. I was having this conversation with my sister. Like, they're selling a lie. Like, I could make my life look like fucking great online, especially over the last 10 years. Like, me and you both went through the golden age of tattooing, as you want to call it, when I could bang out, tomorrow's available for a tattoo, and I'd have 20 inquiries of saying, do whatever you want on my skin and I'll pay you whatever you want. That's not where we are right now. And we didn't, you know what I mean? Some artists made it look amazing at the time, and we could have done, but it's still not real life. Well, no, we're not balling it round with like these massive watches and fucking stupid cars. And I travel, but it's not luxury. It's not first class. I'm fucking Ryanair. Like, it's just stupid. Like the way they're presenting. Like,
I flew home from Berlin on EasyJet with every other tattooist that was flying home, and we're all on the same flight back to Brum. I was like, fucking EasyJetting it back.
Exactly.
But we could. But like, we've talked about this before. It's like, it's 7 seconds where you bump into some mates of yours who are in a massive rock band in an airport. It's the 7 seconds where you do that selfie and you put it online. But the other 23 and a half hours of the day was fucking dragging a suitcase about and knackering and just all the regular shit. Didn't we talk about, wouldn't it be lovely if like they had internet had a day of truth every week? We had, and you had to...
real life of a tattoo artist. Like, we're not fucking anything special. It's not fame. The way they present it is just absolute bollocks. It does drive me mad.
You've learned the same way as me that, like, if you don't employ somebody with the job title of the thing that you need doing, the job is yours. So if you don't employ somebody whose job title is toilet cleaner, you're the toilet cleaner. Do you know what I mean? And that's the real truth of it. And what I worry about, particularly this lie that they're selling to people, is they're going to bring in a bunch of people who've got a completely, like, skewed expectation of what it actually is to be a tattooist, and the volume of work, what it's like to deal with real clients that you know have real expectations, because you know yourself, as your work gets better and better known, right? Well, what happens then is that there's more and more expectation on you with every single tattoo. Every next banger tattoo that you knock out, you've now got to be that good as standard, and your own standard keeps going up. And I'm not sure if some of the people that I've seen responding to some of the posts, I'm not sure if they've got the first fucking idea about what they're actually walking into. And if you've only been having a go on a bit of practice skin for a fortnight, I'm not surprised that you don't know fuck all about tattooing. 2 weeks. I couldn't remember everybody's coffee order in the studio in 2 fucking weeks, mate, let alone learn to tattoo. And just for the record, right, me and Sam, I'm going to say it because she probably won't, right? We can both fucking tattoo, right? Both of us have put the years in. We've both won fucking awards, tattoos all over the internet, blah, 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 blah. I did not learn to tattoo in 2 weeks, and I could not. It was not possible, and I'm a pretty decent tattooist. And I know you didn't fucking learn to tattoo in 2 weeks because I've known you since you was an apprentice. And like, so I think, you know, unless these people are absolute savants at art and can just do it, and what's that, 1 in a million people?
Draw. That's the famous thing I'm seeing, where people are commenting on these like adverts for these things, like, oh, do I need to know how to draw? And people are like, no. And it's like, why do you even want to fucking do this job? Like, what do you mean you don't know how to draw? I've had people in the last couple of weeks like inboxing me about like apprenticeships and stuff, and being like, they want in an apprenticeship, and it's like, oh, have you got any drawings? And they show you stuff on like the fake practice skin. I'm like, but have you got actual artwork?
Actual like, drawings, yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, do you not spend hours drawing?
If you don't like drawing or like art or love art, why you're not going to like this job? Funnily enough, because most of it. It's all of it.
But you draw, and also, you've got to really love the art form, and you've got to love making art, because you've got to get inside somebody else's head and make art for them. So you're also drawing to somebody else's idea as well. So you're trying to work out, maybe I've got to draw differently. Maybe I've got to research a different style of art. Maybe I've got to learn about it. Now, if you're not fascinated with it, then you're not going to want to do that, are you?
No.
The only thing that keeps us in the business is that we were doing this shit before we were being paid to do it, right? That's the only reason we're still here, because like I don't have a day in the studio where I don't want to sit down and draw. You know, I've had a day off today, and I've just been sitting fucking doodling.
I've had times, I'm sure you have, where you're just not in that creative headspace, or someone else is distracting you in life, where it's like pulling you away from that side of you. Then it's the worst job in the world to do, because it's like, okay, someone's relying on me now to be the best I can be and to produce something. And, you know, it's like almost like writer's block, like artist block, drawing block, can't get there. Then it's the worst job in the world. So how on earth are people who can't draw, have zero creativity, and
you can't solve the problem, can you? If you can't draw, because normally for me, when I hit that thing, I go back to, you know, like a bit like when like when tattooing is more difficult, because there are times when tattooing is a bit more difficult for us. But I always go back to the basics whenever I do that. And whenever I'm in a kind of writer's block phase, I pull out a Pritt stick and, you know, some sticky tape, and I start photocopying magazines and just fucking cutting shit up and sticking them together and doing that thing that's almost like a meditation. And then that very rarely becomes like the actual tattoo, but then there might be one happy accident in the middle of it that you go, oh shit, that's what I'm going to do. And then blockage cleared and away you go, you know. I think selling selling a lifestyle of tattooing is not telling the truth, is it?
And we don't all have the same lifestyle. I'm sure there's there's vast differences depending on who you are as a person. But
yeah,
part of me wishes that over the years I'd put his real life, like the behind the scenes that people don't want to show of being a tattoo artist. When even like 3 weeks ago, I had a client in. Me and Connor was doing a collaboration at the studio, and a guy who'd come from America. We ended up with only 4 days to do an entire back, which we made more complicated and bigger, of course, because it's like, this will be even better.
Standard.
I left the studio one night at 2 a.m., the next night at 3 a.m., and then on the final day, 6 a.m., I drove home. So running on fumes, and it was back-to-back days where it was like I couldn't count the hours. Connor's having a nap on the sofa in part, no food all day, ordering food for us and our customer, and that was only great because of that final
the answer
product
to that,
and
while I
loving
think about it, look into protein shakes. They've changed my life. Honestly, I've just got a fridge full of them now at work because I'm same as you. I never eat anything. I always forget to order a sandwich or do something like that. So I bumped into these protein shakes, and it's just a fucking milkshake. Of course, I get the coffee flavoured one, and I've got a fridge full of them, and it's just a meal replacement drink. I'm like fucking perfect. I just have that instead of a cup of coffee and carry on. And it's like 500 calories or something. So fill your fridge with them. It's a fucking good shake. I will do
next time I've got that type of situation anyway.
Yeah, because I'm at the point now where I've got to eat throughout the day. And my body's changed,
I have times when I'm good.
Got to that point.
Don't get me wrong. I can be on the ball, but it was like a domino effect week. During that first session, you get home at 2 a.m. It's like, I'm not making lunch for the next day. I'm rolling into bed.
I'm not meal prepping this shit.
No. So then it was that's just how the week went. And I felt hungover for 2 days after it, just off the exhaustion and how much it took for me to do it. But it was for the love of
doing it,
what we was creating. Yeah. And that, respect for that customer too.
The thing that you did straight afterwards, I guess, is you went straight to Dubai to stand on the bonnet of a Jeep in the middle of the desert to update your Instagram.
Exactly. I didn't even post it for 2 weeks because one, I was like, all I'm going to see is fault, even though it's obviously a fantastic piece, but that's just how artist brains work.
Yeah.
Didn't want to look at it again. I don't even know if he's alive, to be honest. He might have died on his way home because I don't know how he made it through, to be honest.
In case you don't know this, the way artists' minds work is you can put 500 lines into a tattoo and you only see the one that didn't go in quite as well as you would have liked it because the tattoo machine was upside down and the client moved. That's the only line that we ever see. It's a bit like musicians only ever remember the bad reviews, they never remember all the good ones, you know what I mean? That's just that. But that's because we're our biggest critics and our biggest cheerleaders. And what I see of the tattoo school people is they don't have any of that. They're just the cheerleaders. I'm fucking awesome. I'm going to dominate the tattoo industry in the next year. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, I love your fucking self-confidence, but you're bordering on arrogance here. And also, based on what you've just posted, versus the tattoos I get sent from my friends who are all fucking wicked tattooers, you ain't dominating shit, mate. You know what I mean? If you walked into my studio, you'd have to have training to use the kettle, to be honest with you. And I just worry that, are these people going to go, it's not what I thought it was?
Well, I feel...
Or is that a good thing? Are we just going to get a massive influx of people who are going to do it for about 5 minutes and then all fuck off to become professional extreme pogo stickers or something, whatever's fashionable now?
I feel like most of the people on these courses are all going in one direction of style or two. There's the line work stuff seems to be popular at the moment. And that's where a lot of, it also plays on the back of a lot of the permanent makeup people jumping over. Another one I've had quite a few emails from where they want to hop over. And it's the same thing. Oh, well, have you got a portfolio? Well, what do you mean? Yeah. And just okay, so you just want to make extra money, just say that then. But it's not, you're not going to be an actual tattoo artist. You just...
No, they're in it for the money.
Yeah, and that's... So when they are, I get this argument that, but it's not the same as drawing because you've got a stencil. It's like... But for what I could give you my client with that stencil, you ain't tattooing what it should look like. That stencil's not helping the way you think it does. I mean, unless you're doing just line work, then that stencil is what it's going to look like. Because again, it's a line work stencil, it's a line work tattoo. Fine. I
mean, my guys in the shop, they look at most of them have been there for years. I mean, Beth's been there all her life. She used to do her own work in the shop, and she looks at it and goes, "I don't." And she tattoos really well, right? But all of the guys look at my stencils and go, I don't know how the fuck you work from that. I can't make head or tail of it. And I'm like, yeah, but your stencils don't make any difference, any sense to me. And I think it's a very personal thing. But that's the other thing is that you'll have probably experienced this. Like when you first start doing stuff, you rely heavily on the stencil.
Oh, you're stenciling like everything.
Yeah.
Now it's like here's where the eyes are and the outline of the head.
Eyes, nose, and the
rest
mouth,
is fine.
and that's sort of the hair. I'll figure it out as I go along.
Exactly.
You get to the point where you just go, I'm just painting now. And I'm just drawing. And that's where your drawing skills come in because you go, I don't need all of this information on the skin. I'm going to pretty much do it. You know, now, if you get to the point where you're somebody like Robert Hernandez or Tommy Lee Wentner, you don't even have a fucking stencil. Like, you just draw a few like marker points on with a Sharpie and have at it, you know. And both of them are amazing fucking tattooists, you know. And I think that's the difference is that passion and that love of art. If you've got a passion and a love of cars and, you know, fancy holidays and big watches, there's probably much easier ways to make that money, right? You could just trade Bitcoin or something instead. You don't have to put yourself through all this grief. You know, what you're doing it for.
Like most great artists I know aren't that rich.
I don't know anybody who's putting up that kind of lifestyle.
No,
you know?
I mean, some people have done well and some people are smarter with money, like, you know, not me included.
No, me either.
I don't have any.
No, me either. Yeah, I started with nothing, and I've got nearly all of it left.
There's another argument online, isn't there, about, you know, like, tattoo artists should do what their clients tell them to do. Like, you're working in customer like service type job, and obviously
that's not my opinion of it.
Same, of course. And it's like, I would, if that was the job, I'd rather sit at home and be poor. I'd rather not eat or have electricity than have to do something I don't want to do, because that's who I am as a person.
But is that not just the artist mindset? It's like, we're here to make our artwork, and we find ourselves, like, there's a lot of people who would love to turn tattooing into a service industry because then you don't have to make any artwork. The client walks in with something they've made on Midjourney. You just sit down and copy it. Well, that's not what artists do, right? You know, that's... You know, and they'll go, no, it's back to the days of tattooing. I'm like, it's actually not back to the old days of tattooing that at all, because in the old days of tattooing, we all traded artwork between each other. It was called flash. It was drawn by tattooists for the purpose of tattooing. There was a commerce around buying artwork from other artists, and you never credited yourself for that artwork that you did. You always credited the guy that drew it. So the actual original artist always got the credit for the art. And that's been lost in the world of Googling fucking your artwork.
Oh, of course. And people misplace it as arrogance or something, where it's like, but it's the opposite. Yeah. I'd be doing better myself if I just took, like today, for instance, the 3 emails I opened this morning, all 3 are things I've passed to 3 different artists that I know, because they've, you know, the projects are fine, they're great. I just personally don't want to do them. I could make, obviously, more money and film more days, but I would rather that customer's going to get a better experience with an artist that is passionate about that job, and they will do it great. I don't want to, so I won't. And that's a better industry, surely, if we all worked that way. Like, everyone just gets to do what they like doing then, and all the customers get better tattoos.
Do you know, like I was saying to you earlier, I think there's almost 2 industries. Like the industry that you and I exist in, that is the world that we work in. I regularly get people sent to me from other artists that go, look, Paul's the guy to do that. I regularly send people, I tattooed a couple of sleeves on a client recently, and he wanted a piece, and I went, Sam Barber's the person to do that. You know, Autistic Ian, you'll have met Autistic Ian.
He's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Because we both read the same book, so he keeps sending me books in the post. He's fantastic.
He's lovely. He bought me. He bought me some brilliant graphic novels that I hadn't read. So I'm working my way through them at the moment. He's lovely.
Told you all my clients are autistic.
Yeah, you know. But the thing is, you know, he'd had two pieces off me, and then he wanted this piece, and I went, I'm not the guy. Now I could have gone, but I'll do it anyway because I'll have the money. But I'm like, no, Sam will do a much better job of this than me. So you should go and speak to Sam. You know, and I think, and I get people coming in all the time going, I was with Jason Butcher, or I was with Rich Harris, or somebody like that. And you know, they said, you'd be the guy to do this piece. And I said, yeah, fine, no problem. But I think that's a world that we live in, this, you know, at the art end of tattooing. And I'm not sure if at the other end of tattooing, they would rather we didn't exist or even know that that's how we do exist. You know, we have more conversations at conventions. Like I was saying to you earlier, we're all past the point where we need to know how a fucking stencil goes on or whether to use a 5-liner or a 7-liner. Most of the time we spend hanging out, we're talking about the finer points of art, and not just tattoo art, of painting and drawing and
photography, fucking all sorts.
Well, I was talking to Yumiko about this a little while ago, and I was saying, like, Yumiko's really funny to me because all the time I've known Yumiko and all the time he's known me, we were the only two tattooists at the time that were knocking about with cameras, like proper cameras everywhere.
And now, true, actually.
And now everybody's got a fucking Sony something or other sitting on a stick that they're vlogging to. But like at the time, I can remember wandering around Puerto Rico and going, where the fucking hell's Yumiko gone? And he'd gone to take photos of shadows or something. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got that real passion. And I was saying to him, it's funny now because, you get a camera, and I presume this is what happens, is you get a camera to take good pictures of your tattoos and then you fall in love with this other art form called photography.
Exactly what I did, because Yumiko got me on the camera to take good tattoo pictures. Then I got into, I went a different route. I got into bird photography because introvert over here. I can sit in my garden with this lens and just take pictures of birds and not speak to anyone. How great.
As you know, with me, I picked it up as a video camera to film content as I was, I had this idea that I'd become the tattoo Casey Neistat. It turns out I'm shit at it. But, they were terrible, though. Those early vlogs were really bad. But I had a lot of fun doing them. But I've actually now fallen in love with still photography. And so I use my camera now for stills. And I almost never put the thing in record, like to do anything with it, because two things. One, I very rarely record stuff these days, and when I do, I can generally get it done with my iPhone, because iPhones have got to the point where if you're only looking at my face, it's not going to get much fucking better. There's no lens in the world makes that look any better than it is, which is why this is an audio podcast. So listen, I've got another question for you. Okay, tattoo schools are shit. The people who run them are shit.
Yeah.
Are they legal?
Just before we go there, like the people that are going on the courses, there is a small segment of them, which is why I'm fighting them.
Yes.
And it's for the ones where it's like they fell into this out of pure naivety of not knowing what the industry really is, genuinely want to be a tattoo artist and don't know any better, which I know some people, it's their own fault. No, I don't believe that.
I don't think it is. No, I don't either.
Because we're not on there speaking out against it.
Yeah.
That's not going to help them. And I'd rather that little tiny, like maybe 5% of people that are genuinely, no matter what route they take, are probably going to be great anyway, are getting one, robbed of the money, and two, starting out on the wrong foot, and three, potentially going to fall down a hole where they learn this horrible attitude, what's being taught to them by the people saying, the industries, they're all weirdos and they don't want you in it and they're gatekeeping. They're going to come into it with such a negative experience and incorrect as well, when it could be something great for them, the way we had it great. They're the ones I feel bad for, and they're the ones I want to fight this fight for them.
Well, I mean, to speak to that a little bit more, at both of our experience of this is coming into this industry with not enormous understanding of the industry, like any kid that gets into it. I wasn't a kid when I got into
Most people coming into it, have come into it like not really knowing, and it back when you did it was obviously before I did, but it was still scary when I did it, because the internet wasn't as open as it is now. Social media weren't a big thing, and it was still like, oh God, like what am I walking into? And there was little bad bits, but mostly great.
But what I found was there's, it's a real art community, it might look a little bit strange on the surface, but actually when you're sort of sitting there with people, they're all quite arts and crafts, and quite gentle people that just love this sort of job. And I agree with you that if you go to one of these schools that tells you it's all about getting 17 Range Rovers and 4 Lamborghinis and buying 16 houses and flexing all the time, I'm like, that's internet culture. That's not tattoo culture. That's influencer culture, isn't it? That's that, showing off all your shit, and all that sort of stuff. And I just don't think art people are like that. Certainly my experience of the world, the world of tattooing that I live in it's not that world at all. I mean, most evenings after conventions when I'm sitting chatting with people in various fucking languages around the world, everybody's talking about drawing and art, and I spent an evening doodling on napkins talking to somebody who does these just amazing drawings, figurative drawings. That's where they come from, and they've started doing that as tattooing. And I was just absolutely fascinated. But I was saying to them, leave in all the gestural stuff that you put in, that early stuff that you put on the canvas. I said, I think it makes it more exciting as a tattoo. And so we were kind of like just like demoing it on napkins, while we were trying to eat a curry in Berlin. But it was just like a lovely evening. But like, there's nobody there was going, oh yeah, but look at me dashboard and me car and look at me LEDs and me rims and
if
have
there
you
was
seen me
people
watch?
like that, they weren't. I didn't come across them, and they weren't at all getting any spotlight in the world I managed to, exist in tattooing, not the industry I've known anyway.
I think that's something that's come up when everything could be turned into a hashtag. Hashtag canal life, hashtag van life. There are all these people that come in that have got no interest in the actual culture of surfing and travelling and following the waves in your van and all that sort of stuff. They just want to go, I live in a van. And half the time it turns out that they don't live in a van. They just filming it on the weekends, And I worry about this because I think it's a lot of it is really disingenuous, and you're giving people a real and I think different view.
It's breeding more of them in the industry now. It's like, I've had a great time in tattooing to this point.
Yeah, me too.
Met some of my best friends, the greatest people. I found a place where before I got into tattooing in the industry, I never felt like I quite fit, even with people. Like I always felt like a bit alienated in life.
Yeah.
Tattooing was like, I found my home.
Yeah.
There's people that I just get. There's something that I can do where I'm happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just not going to be that if it carries on the way it's going. It's being taken over by people that should never have been in the industry in the first place. Like, it was always the place for like the misfits, the cowboys, the artists, the ones who thought a bit differently.
Yeah.
And we're all mostly introverted, to be honest. Most of us have that, like...
Mostly, yeah.
And now it's like these people that should never have been in, got in, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're ruining it because they're just breeding more and more of that now, where it's like, oh, you don't need to be able to draw, just follow these, lines or do this style that requires zero artistic ability.
Yeah.
And just think about the money, churn it out, and we'll just keep doing that.
The other thing that I've noticed about that is it's ruining the combination of that, of people just doing the easiest style they can and using AI to generate it. I was talking to somebody, I think there's a guy from Naples the other day, and he was saying that the Chicano style, which is really popular down in Napoli, it's actually getting ruined by AI because it takes away the eyes of Latino women and puts white women eyes in it. It's all so the actual Latino features of the women are being lost in this photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy artwork. And I actually worry that it's, we're going to have like, Japanese dragons that don't look anything like Japanese dragons anymore, or people that don't know what a fucking chrysanthemum looks like and stuff like that. And you go, like, this is the basics, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. So before I ask you if you think they're legal, I wanted to show you something. I did a bit of research into this because this is a problem that we've known about for a while. Right. So have you seen the tattooing and body piercing guide toolkit?
Is that what the councils sort of refer you over to? Yeah.
Right, so,
before you get your shop license, they're like, here's everything you need to know.
So I'm going to link to this if you're interested in this. This is freely available, right? It's quite a hefty document, but I'll link to the PDF, right? This was done by Public Health England in conjunction with the TPI, which is the Tattooing and Piercers Union in the UK. And so they did that. And this is like, about fucking 10 pages in or something. And I'm going to read it for you because I think this is really interesting. It says, training and competency. All tattooists and body piercers should undertake accredited training and be able to demonstrate their competence before starting to practice. This guidance recognises, however, that tattooists and body piercers in the UK do not have access to a nationally recognised and accredited course. Nor is there a nationally agreed set of competencies and ongoing objective monitoring of professional competence by a recognised professional body. Now, this is from 2013, and they're already flagging this up as a problem. They go on to say that tattooists and body piercers currently undertake unaccredited courses, often run by private companies, and/or undergo local training and assessment against locally determined competencies through self-funded apprenticeship mentorship schemes. These training methods vary in terms of quality, duration, and content. So we've known This is a fuck-off big document made by Public Health England. I mention it because I want to cycle back to Public Health England later on. But they already knew about this, right, and have said, look, it should be a standard set of rules across the country. These are the things that you need to learn. These are the things that you need to demonstrate. So just for context for listeners from elsewhere in the world, we have laws in England which are similar, I guess, to, like, say, federal law in America, right? So you've got a law that applies all the way across England, and then you've got state law. In our case, they're called bylaws, and they are applied by local councils based on how they think they should be applied. They're interpreted differently, just as you would have in somewhere like America with state law versus federal law, right? So for us at the moment, the rules around tattooing fall under a bylaw, which is, so think state law. So it can be different. So for instance, where Sam is in Manchester is about an hour and a half from where I am, and the local health authority in her area could interpret the laws in a completely different way. And so Sam might need to have a sink in every station, but I wouldn't, because my local bylaw would be different. And I think what these guys are saying is that across the country, given that you can fit England into Texas about 6 times, we should have one set of rules. So this toolkit was put together with a view to every studio that opens must follow these rules. But it's not enforceable because local councils are allowed to interpret it however they see fit. I think that in the future we should be moving towards what they're talking about, a nationally recognised training, accredited in some way, that we can all look at and go, right, in order to do these things, you've got to do that. The thing I would add to it is I also think that in order to teach people, you should pass some sort of training to train people to do the job, because you shouldn't be teaching people if you can't demonstrate your ability to teach. Right. And for a little bit more context, just because I'm going to comment on this later, I lectured at university for a couple of years. So I do know how proper universities work and what should be done. I've got an idea for a business model that would work better based on my experience working in unis. But before we do that, I want to clear up a couple of things. You know, I'm thinking about, the people you're talking about, Sam, like the kids out there that are like, I don't know how to get into tattooing. These guys are going to teach me to tattoo in 2 weeks. They might have all the best intentions in the world, and they're about to walk into an absolute nightmare, from what I can tell. Mm-hmm. So, are tattoo schools legal?
I think it's just a loophole. I don't think they're legal or illegal. It's not technically illegal, but it's also not. Illegal. Parts of it that are surely not legal. They
fall into a weird place because tattooing in the UK is largely unregulated, right? So we don't have a lot of government interference with what we do. I think it's coming, whether we like it or not. And I'm of the opinion, like a lot of artists, that we should be getting in front of it rather than like waiting for it to come down on us. Otherwise, it'll just be fucking reach all over again.
I'll tell you what we've been doing in the background shortly, if you want, whilst I've been keeping the internet entertained. It's been for a bigger cause.
Well, so I'm hoping that we're probably heading down the right route. So, so these tattoo schools, they fall into a weird grey area. Where they can teach tattooing. They'll come under, almost like a tattoo studio, it will come under the environmental health in the UK. Now, I don't agree that environmental health should be checking what we're doing. These are people that are used to checking burger joints and restaurants, and I think there should be a set of VHO that is literally there for holistic therapies, piercing, permanent makeup, Botox, beauty treatments and tattooing. All of those things should come under a completely different thing, with people who actually know how to read an SDS sheet for ink and needles and what an autoclave is.
The guy that came to my first studio, when he came in, he's like, I've never been to a tattoo studio before.
Yeah.
That's the guy giving me a fucking licence. I'm having to tell him what's on his phone.
And that's part of the problem.
He's like, what's this? I'm like, fucking hell. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, unfortunately. So they're technically they're legal because anybody can teach. There's nothing to stop you from teaching somebody how to do tattooing. Are they? The question that I think you'll have a bigger answer for: are they moral?
Not in any way. So the only thing it's doing is lining that teacher's pocket in inverted commas. That's it.
So if you were a kid, getting into this, I'd like to give them some advice of things they should look for. So my first thing would be, if you were going to a proper school, they would give you a course outline that would tell you what you would learn, with learning outcomes in it of what you can expect to learn. And also they would clearly tell you what the nature of the qualification that they're offering is. Now, I can tell you that at the moment, a lot of these schools, we'll talk more about guys that do seminars, because when I was asking you about that, but I'm talking specifically about the schools at the moment. The schools are doing a thing, it's called Continual Professional Development, CPD training. So this is the kind of thing where if you're a forklift truck driver and you drive a yellow forklift truck and your company buy an orange forklift truck, they get you to sit down at a computer for 20 minutes to learn how to use the orange forklift, and you get a little certificate printed out to say that you completed 20 minutes of training. Outside of your job, they mean absolutely fuck all. They're not a qualification in any way, shape or form. They just mean that you've completed the minimum amount of training to do something. Now, I actually checked into this. I created a fake course for tearing paper towels. And I went to the company and I said to them I wanted to give a certificate to people who had completed my paper towel tearing course. And I could have printed and had the same certificate. If I'd have paid them the money, they would have given me this as a certificate, and you could have had a level 10 Paul Talbot paper towel tearing championship course. That's how little this qualification means. So if you're thinking, like a couple of people that I've read, I was thinking of doing this instead of going to uni. Like uni, you will get a BA or a BSc or an MVQ or something like this, college. But do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This qualification that you are being given, it means absolutely fucking nothing to the world of tattooing. Like, no tattooist in the world is going to take that as a guarantee that you know what you're doing. So it will not get you a job. And secondly, it doesn't mean anything outside the world. Like, if you put that on your CV, it means nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing at all. So the money that you're paying is literally, from what I can tell, and it is only my opinion, you are paying for somebody else's fake YouTube influencer lifestyle. And you're not getting, from what I can tell, because I can't find on any of these courses, I can't see any modules and learning outcomes and the kind of things that you would expect in a university setting to actually learn.
No, they just give you a basic list of, you'll learn how to do lines and you'll learn about needle depth. And it's like, well, you don't have live model clients, which I'm not saying they fucking should either, but
no.
How are you learning depth on one of them little mouse mat things that they tattooing on? Like, you can't learn depth off one of them.
Well, again, I'm going to come back to, we're both tattooists with years and years of experience between us. And I don't think practice skin gives you any understanding of what real skin is like. It's latex.
Not
it's
at
like,
all.
Not at all. It does not transfer, because
I even
the pressure.
watch people doing it and they're going over and over and over and over and over, this way, that way. It's like,
Skin would be like corned beef.
Real skin, yeah.
Try that on a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Try that on someone's ribs.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Fucking hell, no.
Yeah, can you imagine that over and over, like backwards and
the way they hold in the machine even, and it's like, again, on these points, we'll teach you how to hold a machine. Like, that's so stupid. The shit they're teaching them to do.
Yeah, I mean, most of my experience, I've taught 4 people now to tattoo. For free, by the way. They just work in my shop now. That's generally how it's done. It's like you come to an artist, they mentor you, they teach you about the stuff that they do, and then you work in the studio for a few years just to pay them back, and that's basically how you pay for your apprenticeship, basically. But what I found with all my guys, and with conversations with you and loads of other people that I know, because I was a bit older getting into this, people tended to look to me and go, well, you've already run a business. How the fucking hell do we do this? I find myself giving people initially how to draw advice, you've got to, because you have to remind people all the time, you have to tattoo how you draw, because people tend to pick up tattoo machines in a way that they don't hold a pencil. And I'm like, you've got to think about how you hold a pencil and a paintbrush, because that's going to be your natural way of tattooing. And it's particularly for like left-handers, like with me, you look like a fucking gorilla holding a banana. But then you end up giving them life advice, how to be a grown-up, how to run a business. You're a shoulder to cry on. You know, the bad days when, you know, like that little tattoo they didn't come out perfect and they're destroyed, you know, and all that sort of stuff. And in being a mentor to people is much more than just showing people how to hold a fucking tattoo machine and get a stencil to stick on. Mentoring people goes on for 5 years. Do you know what I mean? It's a big, big commitment that you really teach people.
Well, that's one of my gripes with these courses. Like, no one's taking responsibility for these people. The minute they walk out that door and do whatever they want to do, that to me, that's on you as the mentor.
Yeah,
you've allowed it. You're not there to monitor what they're doing. You're not, and they're like, oh yeah, they can ring me anytime. One, they're probably not going to, especially if they make some massive cock up.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not.
Hello, is this Dave? Dave, I'm in the middle of my first back piece and I can't get the lines to go in. I mean, like...
Are they going to go around an elbow?
Yeah, exactly. I'll come and do it for you.
And they're going to, instantly try and, deny all accountability, which is already what they're doing when I'm out and I'm online. They're like, oh, no, that's not positive. Me. Oh, no. It's like, it fucking is.
Yeah.
Take some responsibility. I won't even do seminars. I've done a few, random seminars at, events in the past when I've been asked to.
Yeah.
But I get asked a lot for people, come and do a one-on-one training with you. And instantly it's like, well, show me where you're at and what you're expecting from this. Because I would take that on me as a responsibility to them. And that's with a professional artist. One, I don't want to take someone's money if I think they're not going to actually learn and take something away from me teaching them. Because, I know the way I would teach someone, and there's no point me teaching someone who's not quite there yet to actually utilize the best of my knowledge. Yeah. So it's there's no point. And I don't feel like morally, that's a fair thing to do. So
I want to talk about seminars and artists doing seminars, because as you know, I know a few artists that do seminars. I think that's a different thing.
Totally different thing.
Because they're already talking to artists generally working in the industry, and you're looking, it could be somebody like me going, Sam, listen, I want to get better at colour realism. Can I come and sit with you for a day? I can already tattoo, but I just need, can I just spend a day with you and see how you put colour in? That kind of thing is a very different thing from, Sam, how do I hold a tattoo machine?
Of course, should I use two totally different worlds.
Two completely different places, because you've already got all the knowledge. The conversations that we have about tattooing, so many of the techniques are taken as a given that you know what those are. And it's because I talked to Rich Harris quite a bit about colour saturation and how he achieves it, and but he doesn't show me how to do it. He just we talk in all those unqualifiable things. It's like lie the machine down
where you just know what they mean.
Yeah, exactly. Because we both understand we're both professional artists, and it's like when you and me talk about art.
When this gatekeeping word gets fucking thrown around and misused, it's like. Well, I know even in artist to artist, and people ask me at conventions, what are you using? How do you do this? I tell anyone anything. I don't care. I'm never tenner. Give me a tenner and I'll tell you. It's no one gatekeeps. We just openly share knowledge. It's but I'm not going to share certain knowledge with people who know nothing, because that's irresponsible. That's the difference. Yeah.
And I think that they're being irresponsible by filling people's heads full of dreams that they may not achieve, taking their money, taking no responsibility for the artists that are then going to studios around the country trying to get jobs, only to be told, listen, mate, no, that's dog shit, and you ain't been taught anything any good. So you need to come back and be an apprentice, even if you're lucky enough to get into that. And I don't know about you, but I don't think gatekeeping is a bad thing.
No, I just think the word's being misused a lot.
Yeah, accusing people of gatekeeping is just a way of saying let us in with no accountability. We just want to do this, and I don't want to take accountability.
Yeah.
When you turn around and go, oh, you're just gatekeeping,
and they want it for nothing, which is another new thing. Before, fucking hell, it was hard to get an apprenticeship. We've all fucking been there.
Yeah.
You was grateful for anything, Yeah. Now it's even if you offered someone an apprenticeship, now it's oh, but why am I not being paid? What? What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I've had a conversation recently. I was arguing in my comment section. I'm like, okay, well, I'll pay you, and then when you're ready to learn, you pay me, and we'll see who comes out better off. Because it won't be you.
Exactly.
I'm
It
doing
won't
you a
be you.
fair deal here. Like,
Yeah.
it's at first, and, this is in no disrespect to all the apprentices out there who might be listening, but they're a liability, them cleaning. You have to go and check if they've done the cleaning properly, if they put things where it needs to be. It's another job. But, you are trying to teach them how a shop works, how to exist in a studio space, all the shit you're still going to have to do.
Yeah.
We have a shop cleaner, but I still have to clean my own fucking station and organise my own stuff and order things and speak to my clients and everything else. But there's such a level of entitlement now. That's another massive problem.
Are they entitled? Because everything that they know about tattooing is that they'll be fucking going to Dubai 7 times a year and driving a fucking Lamborghini by the time they're 19.
Some of it, the world we live in is different now, all round, not just in tattooing. I think some of it's that and influencer culture and what you said, and people comparing it to other types of apprenticeships where it's like a quick Google will explain the difference. Why we can't do it that way currently, and it's out of our hands.
I think with calling it apprenticeship is almost the wrong term for it now. It's
exactly.
You become an intern. When you go and be an intern at a company, you go there for free to learn the ropes of the company and then hope that by the end of your internship that you're offered a job. I think being a tattoo apprentice is closer to being an intern. It's like I'm taking time. I used to explain this to my guys. I go, right, I'm in the studio for 8 hours, right? I've got these tasks to do. The more of them that you do for me perfectly so that I don't have to do them, I will take that time and I will teach you for the equal amount of time. So I just explained something like that. So if you go and clean the toilet, mop the floors and clean all the stations, that's not my job this morning. So then I can sit with you for a couple of hours and go over, how to hold a tattoo machine, how you're lying, what you're struggling with, what we're going to do. And I said to him, that's the transaction that's taking place. You're swapping effort for knowledge. I can do something that you can't do, but you can run a mop round. So run a fucking mop round and I'll teach you to be a tattooist. Do you know what I mean? And
and of course it's like you're just getting the floors cleaned. They're getting a career for the rest of their fucking life.
Exactly, right?
So it's the whole concept of being paid for it on top's insanity.
Yeah, it's also your responsibility as the tattooist to fucking teach them properly so that when they start going places and I mean, because I see some fucking horror stories, now. I think we've got to a point, one of the big things that worries me at the moment, if you just scroll through Instagram for 5 minutes, you'll find it. There seems to be a fundamental misunderstanding of when you put your fucking gloves on in the process and what gloves are for. I read one the other day that was from one of the guys that runs these tattoo schools that you're talking about. And he was asked, why do you put cling film on everything? And he told them it's because it makes it sterile.
Okay.
So I don't know about you, but I must have missed out on the sterile cling film.
I've got the wrong cling film, then.
I ain't got the sterile cling film. My shit comes from Amazon. It's not sterile. And so if you're walking in thinking that tattooing is a sterile procedure, you're already wrong, right? It's like, no, it's not. It's a clean procedure. It's not sterile at all. What if even if your cling film was sterile, your gloves aren't, your ink caps aren't, your tongue depressor isn't. Most of the time they're not, so you can't get them. And the only couple of things that are sterile are your ink and your needles. You know what I mean? The rest of it is clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you go back and, autoclave your grips and that, your grip could be considered to be sterile until you open the packet. The moment you touch it, it's not sterile anymore, And but most tattooists don't seem to understand that. And I'm getting really annoyed at sitting at conventions and watching artists with their gloves on leave their booth, go to the other side of the room and do something and then come back and carry on tattooing. I'm like, who is that protecting with them gloves on then? Because now you've fucking contaminated the entire convention.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah. And these are good artists, you know what I mean? These are guys that are working conventions. And I'm like, if we're at that point now, then at what point, when all of these young kids have come in, they've learned tattooing for 2 weeks, they can't get a job in studios, and because we're in an unregulated industry, they all decide to open private studios. Eventually what happens is, if they don't, this is my prediction, they don't know how to clean, they don't know how to keep things safe. People start getting sick, right? We get something like a hepatitis outbreak, and then Same as what happened in Wales. Because I don't know if you know why the regulation changed in Wales, but there were 2 piercing studios in Newport that cost the NHS in Wales £500,000.
Wow.
They were so dirty, they were giving people antibiotic-resistant infections from the piercings, so people had to have reconstructive surgery. But the problem with that is that the implementation of the rules in Wales is so stringent and so not fit for purpose that it's killed every Welsh tattoo convention dead immediately.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can't have, because you have to register with every tattoo studio that you go to. So if I go to Chris Jones's place and then I go to somewhere else, I have to register in the new place because I have to constantly tell the Welsh government where I am and what I'm doing. And of course, for a convention, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So what I think we'll be left with is these people coming in, maybe not through any fault of their own, through fault of bad training and just not understanding, that whole you don't know what you don't know. They could potentially create a situation where the government come in and go, right, from now on, this is the way you do it. You've got to wipe your tattoos down with sterile gauze. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. You've got to all use Reach ink and you can't use anything else.
Well, that's why we're trying to currently get in front of it. Exactly what you said before. Like, again, I'll go into it after whenever you want me to. But
yeah, man.
In the background, that's what a team of us have been, as fast as possible, because it weren't planned. I opened my fucking stupid big mouth and had a bad day and shouted on the internet and didn't realise the shitstorm what was going to kick off. Well, I kind of did, but I was in a mood of I don't care.
That kind of brings me neatly to that, because I've been doing this since I saw this happening. So I was talking to Perry from Total Tattoo the other day, and I was asking him about the TPI, because when I was getting into tattooing, there was, I'm going to say this wrong, so just so you know, there was a thing, I think it was called Happier, and it's an acronym for something. It was something that was bad.
I've seen them.
Right, so it was something that was really bad for tattooing. A load of tattooists came together, they formed the TPI, and the governing, sort of, the idea was it would be a governing body to do things like what they've done with public health.
They went round conventions, didn't they, trying to
They went round conventions and all that.
Promote it and stuff.
And I asked him if it was still going, and he said, yes, it's still going, but it's not particularly active. And I went, I think it's time that it does get active.
Down because someone maybe left it, retired or passed away, and then sort of that.
Yeah, so the last president, or, the guy at the top of the TPI, has got a studio in London, and I forget his name, but Perry did say to me, and I'm trying to get Perry to hook me up with him so I can go down and pick his brains about it and see if there's a way that we could kickstart it again, because all the framework is there, and I'm like, so
and they've done something for a long time where they're going to have a lot more knowledge than. This
is exactly my thoughts. Is that they'll have dealt with government and know what the difficulties of that are, and so I think that this guy, I think it's 38 tattoo or something like that. I can't remember what Perry was saying to me, but he was the final guy that was kind of in charge. From all intents and purposes, I imagine it's a thankless task. You probably just, nobody ever says thanks for well organised, do they? But I think it's something that we ought to look at rebooting and trying to, maybe get some people in there that go, look, can we kind of take this to where it needs to go? Because the piercing industry that have got the APP, which is they're pretty, the piercing people are pretty red hot on their, what they want out of the industry and, to be piercers in good standard and everything. And I think we really need to do that. So my final question is kind of so what's the answer then, Sam? What have you been doing about it?
One route we've taken, because we're aware we won't get exactly what we want out of this in terms of, if we got to absolutely decide and set, okay, this is how it's going to work. That's not being realistic, really. We're, understanding a little bit how governments and councils are going to work and deal with this. So we've we have put something forward that we're waiting on the government to approve in terms of our initial petition to try and get taken seriously. We're waiting on them to sign that off at the moment so we can actually put it live. But in terms of, I'd have to pull it up. I've not got it. Two of the other guys, Megan and Talbot, was real good, and they've typed it all up and brainstormed it all, and us all in the background, just to set even just some basic regulation in, because it's got to start somewhere. It can be, and that's what I mean. I'm not expecting that we're going to get dream situation happen overnight.
what's your dream situation? What
I
would
don't
yours
even
be?
know.
'Cause okay, so I tell you what my dream situation would be then.
I'll tell you the one we've put forward first, and then you
Go
can
on then.
tell me what you think would be better. So
Okay.
the main thing we've sort of presented it to them, and this is how we think it could work, is like how a driving license works. You get provisional and you get a proper one.
Yeah.
So to become an apprentice, if we're going like apprentice route as being like that's always going to be the best way to learn properly. So to get your apprentice license, you've got to do the basic stuff. So, your bloodborne pathogens, a proper course on that, and it's official, signed off, tick that box. And that's a national one. A first aid course. Because
Absolutely.
again, someone faints, you think that's an easy thing to handle. Not if you're 18 in your spare room and you've never seen it happen before. That person could die. And it's like, that could happen anywhere outside in the world, but the chances are a fucking lot higher if they're being tattooed in an environment where,
I'll tell you a little story. We had the funniest fucking situation in the studio about 3 months ago, right? We're all in there tattooing, and my Lucas's client, so Lucas is the black and grey artist in the studio. Yeah. Lucas's client's dad had popped in to see him, so he was sitting on a chair. We didn't realise he's in recovery from cancer treatment, so he was sitting really quiet. If I'd have known, I'd have given him a nicer stool, but he passed out. Right, so he passed out on the floor. Obviously, he's left his jacket on. He's got a bit hot and overheated. So then his son, who's being tattooed, worried about his dad, jumps up. Obviously, massive rush of blood to the head or something, all the panic about his dad who's not very well. And he fainted as well. So, but weirdly, while Beth's tattooing, she's tattooing an anaesthetist, right, who immediately says, hang on a minute. He jumps up shirtless and starts attending to these people. So, like, the studio went from the tattoo studio to fucking triage tent in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
2 of the guys had been out the front having a cigarette, and they walked in to see a topless, anaesthetist attending to 2 fainted people, and they were like, "What the fuck just happened?" I went, "Dude, it was a weird 5 minutes that was." And so you're absolutely right. If that's never happened to you before, like, because I don't know how you experienced fainting for the first time, but like the first person who ever fainted on me was my 15-stone mate who I couldn't stop from falling as he was walking out the back to smoke a cigarette at the studio. I couldn't stop him from falling. All I could do was gently lower him into my lap. So he came round sitting on my lap in the kitchen of my old studio. And he was like, "What the fuck's going on?" It was like, "I'm not giving you a cuddle. I'm saving you from smashing your head open." And I'd never seen anybody faint. I don't know if you ever had it. You have people piss themselves when they faint. They make weird zombie noises sometimes when they faint. Yeah. It's scary shit, man.
I had a guy go down. His sister was there too, and I was taking the pictures of his calf. And she was obviously not paying attention either. And then, do you know what? In the phone screen, I saw the wobble. Too late. He went
too late.
Fast,
he went down
face down.
Wow.
But he knocked his 2 front teeth, snapped them on his way down because he knocked onto a cabin. I had to get an ambulance. I've got his teeth in a bloody glass of milk, so because they snapped them right through the middle. And it's like that's and there's tattoo shock. There's even just basic knowledge of like medications and how that can affect certain types of healing. If someone's on like certain types of treatments, how does that affect how many? Because I have people where I just won't let them sit longer than a couple of days because of certain medical conditions. I'm not risking it, of making you ill, because I know the level of trauma of multiple days tattooing.
Yeah.
And I do think all that should come in. That should be all stuff all of us have to learn, and some of us have done courses, some haven't, some you just learn on the job. And I'm sure every tattooist we know has got a story where it's like, that wasn't fun. That was a risk. And we have been playing risk. But if tattooing's going more mainstream, there is certain things, whether everyone agrees or not, that are the responsible thing to do. And I think we're there now. Like, okay, we have to have these things. I got as far as a proper driving licence, a provisional licence, do first aid and bloodborne pathogens. What to get your
that?
Provisional. And also, again, this might be debatable, but some form of like a DBS check, because as we've seen over the last few years, certain types of people shouldn't be tattooing other people or be alone with people.
We've got the same problems as the rest of the world have. There are some Me Too people in the world. In the same amount of, tattoo people, it's the same percentage. There are some of those people, and they're predators, and they shouldn't be in the industry. And,
because it's, it is a vulnerable, like you're in a
absolutely.
certain... So
absolutely.
All them things to get you provisional. Once you've got your provisional, you're in an apprenticeship with a mentor who's of a certain X amount of years. I think if it was up to me, I'd have chose probably a higher number, but for the sake of this petition, we put 5. So you've got to have been a full-fledged tattoo artist for 5 years to be able to have an apprentice.
You probably, like me, I bet you wanted 10. I bet you were like 10 years, 10 years of spot, I think, because I think 10 years
And I trained someone before I hit 10 years, but I know if I did it again, I'd do it differently.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I'm a different person now than I was then with that much longer experience. I think it's going to make better artists. But for the sake of, it being more open, that apprenticeship has to last a minimum of 12 months. But can go up to 2 or 3 years, dependent. Everyone's fucking different and learns at different speeds, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, everybody learns differently.
Once it gets past the 12-month, it's then in the mentor's hands to sign that off as I'm giving that signature to this. Now you can have a professional license, and that's on the mentor to decide they're at a compatible level to be allowed loose, whether they stay here or go somewhere else. Blah, blah. And that's the way I think that type of learning should work. Tattoo school's gone. Unless I do think tattoo schools can exist.
Yeah.
If it's like an actual school. So it's like a 2-year school. Silvano Fiato has one in Italy. From what I'm aware of, but I can't read Italian, so I've not translated it fully. But from what I understand, it is like a 2-year, 3-year school where you're literally going through every process, multiple teachers. It's not one guy putting the money in his pocket. It's an actual institution.
Yeah,
it can be run by some of the best in the industry, covering different areas. You can fail. There's no guarantee. Like these courses, funny, no one fucking fails. Apparently everyone can do tattooing. Tick.
Yeah.
This will be like, these can be modules. So maybe it goes, the first 3 months or 6 months is phases where it can be like, okay, you either have to sit it again or you can drop out now and not waste your money because you're not passing this bar where you need to be to get into that module. That can exist. Whether that's something people want or not, I'm just trying to be, again, move with the times of what people are saying they want. Maybe there's not enough open doors for apprenticeships across the industry. So can that exist? Yeah, but I think it's going to be hard to exist and it would have to be a very specific way. I wouldn't want to teach something like that personally.
Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a national standard around the country that you can't even put the kettle on in a tattoo studio without an NVQ1 in bloodborne pathogens and zonal pathogen control. I'd like to see, when kids now, they have to stay, in England, they have to stay in education legally until 18. So I'd like to see, like a lot of kids, they don't do A-levels and stay at school. They can also go to college and do a college course, an MVQ, which in the UK, it's called a National Vocational Qualification. I don't see why we couldn't have everybody, as a basic requirement, you must have an NVQ1 to work in a shop, and you need at least an NVQ2 or 3 to own a shop and to run a business. There would be we could grandfather some of this in for the older guys who've been doing it for years, who would pass it and walk through it, But I think that I could pass that at night school, and I'd be happy to go and do that because I think I've done so much of this training for different things around the world that I was
going to say, you'll be like me. Every state in America, I've got to sit
every
another
fucking state in America, another one. You know what I mean?
Evian was a good one. You've got to sit in a classroom the first day of the convention. I liked that. It's like, don't give a fuck who you are. You have to be here and sit through this. We're going to show you how to put gloves on, even though you've been tattooing 10 years.
In 10 years, we're still going to show you how to put your gloves on and take them off properly, because not many people even know that there's a correct procedure for taking your gloves off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to me, I'd like to see, because that's something then, because I look at it and I go, kids that are 16, 17, they really want to get into tattooing. And so their first route could be through education and in classrooms. This also gives a place for older tattooists, as they come to the end of their career, they can teach in these institutions and actually impart some of this knowledge. That at the same time that they were learning how to work a kettle and a mop and how to keep zones clean and, why you don't touch things with dirty hands and all that sort of stuff, they could also be taught the history and cultural significance of tattooing. So they have an understanding of where tattooing comes from, its spiritual origins, the cultural touch points of it, the major movements in tattooing, what all the different genres are called and, and all that stuff. They could have a really good working overview and also could be asked to produce a portfolio of drawings for the end of the course. So they've got something then to present to the next stage of it. And I'd like to see, if you're going to be a mentor, then I think you should have to go and take an MVQ in mentoring people to prove that you can actually write a module. You can do that. They're called learning outcomes, right? So I tell you, if you come and let me be your mentor, Sam, at the end of the first year, you will know these 3 tattoo techniques. You will understand how to do this. You'll understand how to do these things. And you have to tick those boxes at the end of the first year. And I think that then that gives us a route with an MVQ, that gives us a route to go, well, hang on a minute, if you set up a private tattoo school, then it must be accredited with that national body, because that already exists in schools in the UK. Universities, all the universities have to answer to a university body, the colleges do. And so you could have a standardisation, because absolutely art is subjective, but clean and dirty are not subjective. Do you know what I mean? They are objective truths. Something is either clean or dirty. And so we could have a load of kids that come in that would already know about all of the basics, that all we have to do is make sure that we're happy that they've learned the current best practices, because college courses do need to be updated from time to time. And then they know who's a mentor, who's accredited, who can actually teach them, who's the right place, what school could they go on to. Because the school that I worked in was a private music school, but it was accredited to give people a BA and a BSc. So I had to work to learning outcomes and modules that were written for me. I had to deliver the lectures, So there's no reason why we couldn't take that business model. The company's called BIM. Right, and it's all over the world. It was started by like a thrash metal guitar player or bass player, I think. But the same business model could be used for tattooing. And so we would know then that everybody who's done that has got some working knowledge of how all this works. And so you might be able to just, like, by the time they come out of college with all of that stuff, having drawn and learned the history of tattooing, the basics of tattooing in a classroom, you could spend a year just going, right, this is now human skin. This is why it's different. And it's a bit like what I did with graphic designers when I worked in publishing. Was we get guys out of uni that have just done 3 years of visual communication studies, and I go, okay, here's graphic design in college. Welcome to graphic design in the real world. I've got a deadline at 5 o'clock and I need 7 pages out of you. And you get oh my God, I haven't got a whole year to deliver something. And I think that's something that we, maybe if we could get the TPI moving again, that maybe that's something we could be pushing for. Is like, you can't open a tattoo studio in England unless you've got 5 years studio experience. Like, you can't open a place. You can't just open a fucking private studio, and just start having at it, because that's a nightmare waiting to happen,
Of course,
because all that happens is that we get the blame. Tattooing gets even more legislated, and it's either driven underground.
I feel like we're waiting at the moment for the 19-year-old kid to go into some studio by someone who's come off one of the back of these courses. They don't know any bloody different. They're like, oh, well, it was a shop. And then they're going to have some ridiculous level of trauma and infection, end up in hospital, and they've got their arm amputated, life ruined at 19. And then we all look like cunts. And then it is like, well, why didn't anyone do anything about it? So when people keep saying to me, oh, why don't you just focus on what you're doing? Why do you care so much? It's like, because I care about the industry I'm part of. And to me now, it's getting to the point where I feel, or it's going to be that point where it's almost embarrassing of someone outside of our world. Oh, what do you do for a job? Oh, I'm a tattoo artist. They're relating us to them, what they see online, that are shouting the loudest, being morons. No, and it's like, I almost feel like I don't want to even say I'm a tattoo artist anymore. It's become, I just think it's going to get worse, and we're waiting for something really bad to happen where, you know what it's like, that'll get the media coverage, then we all look like we've allowed that to happen. Like,
fucking idiots all over again, which is pretty much exactly the situation that happened in Wales. The government didn't step in until they're £500,000 worse off and go, look, we got to stop this. And now it is much more difficult to tattoo in Wales. You know, for context, in case you're not in England, Wales is about 40 minutes from my house. And I can't tattoo there. You know, I'm right on the border. So like if I drive 40 minutes left, then I'm in Wales. You know what I mean? So, and which is crazy to me. Now I know that system is coming to the UK. It'll be here by 2030. You know, is the thought. But it's not well implemented because we haven't been involved in the consultation to start with. And I think if the TPI still exists and we can get it moving and representing tattoo artists again, it might mean that it needs a new set of people to kind of run it and stuff.
What's his name? I meant to have a conversation with him, but honestly, my inbox has been insane and I've had to step away just to get some form of reality back.
Sanity,
yeah. Glenn Carlos.
Right.
Tattoo artist has been speaking for, I want to say, at least a year or two about this exact thing, about getting something going, which is on that side of things, like more like almost like trade union, like a body, like an official body of actual artists that
maybe I'll
it. So
I'll shoot him a DM. Yeah, I'll shoot him a DM and see if I can get him on the show. I'd see if I can get him to come on the show because I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fully know what he's talking about because I've not had a chat with him yet. So again, he seems to be, from what I understand from his like clips I've seen of his videos, that side of things. So he might be a good one because he was doing it like before all this happened. And now he's obviously been fighting for something. I want to say he's pretty good with Dan from Star Tattoo Supplies. I think they're something.
I mean, they're literally around the corner from me. Star is. It's in the same place. Yeah. No. I think. The only difference I think is that you just said what everybody was thinking in a way that everybody could understand it. You know, and I think that we need to do more of this. One of the things I wanted to say is that history, because one of the things that got my go, I've actually made an op-ed about this. One of the things that got my go in one of the rebuttal videos to your video was a guy saying, it's not your industry. It's tattooing is for everybody. And I was like, so if it's not my industry, and tattooing is for everybody, whose fucking industry is it then? And what I basically came down to is that we are the current custodians of tattooing. We're the people in it and doing it right now. We're the people making the fucking tattoos they're making this whole industry turn. You know, because with no tattoos, there is no tattoo industry, right? And I think it is our industry and it's our responsibility because in the future, history will judge us by our action or inaction. If we stand by and do nothing and don't call these people out and get a bit militant and have our own version of cancel culture and just sort of start saying to people, look, this is fucking wrong, then 20 years from now, when tattooing's in an awful state or has gone completely or gone underground, people will go, it was our generation of artists that stood by and let it get sold out.
And 95% of people, like I know for a fact, behind shop doors or in their own mind, all were thinking exactly what I said.
And that's why it blew up on the internet, mate. You know, that's why your inbox is full of people. You know my history. I've had an inbox full of people going, when's the revolution, Paul? You know, and all that. I know exactly where your head is. You know, you do have to step away from it. But it's because I think all the artists out there, you know, there's a lot of people that are quick to criticise and show up problems, but not many people do what you're doing and what I'm in the very early stages of trying to do, because I'm not sure exactly how I get it done. There's not many people there when you go, right, let's make a solution. Let's actually come at this and go, let's
I get annoyed at these people. Like, I agree with you, but just, why are you getting involved? Why just keep your head down? I'll just let them do that and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why would I do that though? Because it's like taking something what's a great and happy thing to exist in. Oh, we'll just let that be fucking ruined now, like everything fucking else, and do nothing. Well, and it's like, I can do both. I can still focus on my tattoos and be a social justice warrior, can multitask.
Well, you think about it, just before we jumped on this call, I was watching the qualifying from Azerbaijan in the Grand Prix. Now, the F1 world is big money, you know, and why don't you just keep your head down and, you know, and and do that. It could be something that they do. But they've got an F1 Drivers Association because in the 70s, they were losing 2 drivers a race. Like, because the sport wasn't safe. And so the drivers got together and went, well, I know that you do all the races and you're all this, but we're the fucking idiots in the cars. We want the sport to be safe. And so it's them that have brought about the neck device, which is called a hands device, the halo, that if the car turns upside down, it protects the driver's head. You know, these days, I mean, there was a few years ago, there's a race driver called Roman Grosjean, split his car in 2, burst immediately into flames. It took him about 12 seconds to get out the car, and he's completely unharmed. Now, if that had been 1970, the guy would be dead. Mm-hmm. In all industries, the people doing it at some point have to take control of what it was. Because Jackie Stewart was the guy that started the Drivers Association with a bunch of other people. But And like, I was thinking about other industries, like ballet is for everybody. We can all do ballet. That's not how you become a fucking ballerina. You have to train for years and then you have to go and audition. And so
I don't think it's a bad thing to say. Not everyone can be a tattoo artist and not everyone fucking should be.
Right. So, is the world of ballet gatekeeping?
Exactly.
It? No, they're just saying if you can't do a fucking plie, then you're not in, and you have to.
Yeah.
You know, and so what they're doing is they're making sure that the people on the stage, for the benefit of the audience and for themselves, are the best people in the world. And as an industry, when you sit down in a tattoo studio anywhere in England, in an ideal world, you should be assured of getting a great tattoo. Mm-hmm. Now, the art that's in it is a completely subjective thing.
If you want,
completely subjective. If you want a giraffe in a fucking shopping trolley rolling down an hill or something, hey, man, go at it. If you can find somebody that wants to draw it, then you're all good, right? But the tattoo, you shouldn't get an infection. You should get a decent experience and you should get a nice tattoo. That should be, and that's not standard in the country. You know what I mean?
Like, people are saying like, oh yeah, well, we do all the hygiene stuff in the 2-week course. Like, yeah, fine. What course?
Yeah.
But the biggest reason that people get infections stems from that skin trauma.
Absolutely.
When they've created a massive open wound that isn't healing for weeks because you've dug a great big fucking crater in them.
Yeah, because you don't know.
Rather than, I'm tattooing, they're usually healed over that top layer of skin in the next couple of days.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know, and that's me doing like heavy colour realism.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're seeing people doing like, soft black and grey, and it's like, fuck me. What was you trying to achieve? Like, where was you
going?
One
of the things that amazes me about that is when I watch my mates who do lots of colour, is how brave you are with colour. Because you understand you're creating the minimum trauma you possibly can. And I've watched Dave Corden put a field of white in at the beginning of a tattoo and then just do black all round it. And I'm like, how the fuck do you even do that? And he's like, you're not creating trauma as you're putting those colours in, and it gives them time to settle down. And I can see it, I can feel it. I'm just going as far as I can go.
Experience,
and if the skin won't take it, I'll stop. Experience tells you, yeah.
Yeah, like exactly. I know it's different from client to client, body part to body part. There's clients where it's like the limit is so vastly different than to someone else's, and there's so many factors that make it like age, lifestyle, health, where I'm tattooing them. People do have different healing speeds, and even like numbing cream, like it's not something I like using, but I've got 2 clients where I'm allowing it. We did test things, it's healing fine, everything's great, but the way that affects the skin, I have to tattoo totally different to how I usually tattoo because of how it affects the skin and trauma level. Well, it doesn't allow it turns the skin like it's like a weird texture, but it's so easy to trauma the skin because it doesn't react in the same way. But I know, and it's like I'm not guessing, I'm going out of experience of like I have to tattoo this now, knowing in basic like, okay, I'll put all my base layer in and then I'm going to let it heal for longer than I usually would. Then when you come back, we're going to do the next layer of stuff, which I don't usually work that way. But, but these people, again, going off these 2-week courses, they don't even know needle depth, never mind anything beyond that.
And like we were just saying, that your needle depth changes from body part to body part, client to client, products that are being used at the time, products that are not being used. We have to be aware of all of the products in our setup that we're using. One that's been driving me crazy for ages, I was getting, after lockdown, whenever I'd use like a second skin film, I'd be getting like, people would got red lines around the edge of it, like almost like a rash around the edge of it. And I'm like, is the glue dirty? Is it the glue? Is the glue a problem? Is this a thing? And I ended up having to talk to people only to find out that there's a chemical in green soap. You know, the Costco green soap that we use? Just in case you don't know, kids, green soap is not green coloured soap. It's green soap means a process, not a colour, right? So when you buy a bottle of green soap, it's not fucking fairy liquid. It's not. But you know the green soap, the Costco green soap that everybody used to use? There's a chemical in that. Because I'm old school, I still use it, right? Well, not anymore, because the chemical in that reacts with the chemical in the glue on the second skin, and that's what's creating all. We know when everybody says, "Oh, you got a rash, you must be allergic to it." It's not an allergic reaction at all; it's a chemical reaction. And so I now don't use green soap. I use a different soap because of just the way it's done, right? But you're not going to learn that in 2 weeks. You're not going to learn anything that you've just said in 2 weeks about skin and when you can tell where you've overworked it. Okay, I've got to stop now. Like I know we're like an hour from ending, but your skin's not going to take anymore. I'm really sorry. Like that's as far as your skin's going to take you. I mean, I tattoo a lot of older people, and their skin goes really red. So I've just had to, particularly if you're on things like the inner arm or the backs of the thighs or something, and I've just got really used to like looking through the red and trusting the tones that I'm putting in and going, even though that looks way darker than it should be, I know that that's going to heal okay. Now, I don't know you should learn that in 2 weeks, that kind of confidence in 10 years of using a particular ink brand and going, they're the guys that I use. I know how this heals. I know how it goes in. You don't get that in 2 weeks.
And the people are like running these courses like, yeah, well, we're not like, it's a learning process. They do have to go away and do this, and this. And it's like, yeah, but with zero support is the difference. Like, I didn't learn everything in the first stages of my tattoo career either, but I've always had people around me, yourself included, because obviously I got to know you when I was an apprentice, where I could ask questions. If I wasn't sure, I've got people to ask. Who are they going to ask? Because they've already alienated themselves from the industry. And you know, someone off a 2-week course messages you next week like, hi, I don't know you, but I've done this 2-week course and I've been tattooing this guy in my bedroom and this has happened. What do I do?
As a final thing, right, I've got a challenge for people out there, these tattoo school people. And if you run a seminar and, you know, and you're worried that you're going to get caught up in all of this furore and, you know, and that you're not doing that, if at any point you would like me to come and take your tattoo school course or take your seminar, I'll come and take the course, I'll bring the cameras, I'll film my experience, and I will give an honest review of what you're doing. You know, email me. My email address is on my website. My email address will be in the description. I've only been tattooing for 20 years, so you might have something that you can teach me. And I'm sure there are people out there that can do it, because I do think there are some people with their heart in the right place that are trying to do what we've been talking about. Like, we've both learnt a lot on the road talking to tattooists and picking up like some really cool tips. And I think that a lot of the guys that run seminars are just trying to do a version of that to say 8 or 10 people. You know, of course, there's a financial component to it, but I've been to. I
think seminar situations are absolutely fine, and I think it's like even if it's like I would go, maybe I went on one, I'd be like, oh, you're not really learning much. For some other people, they are, or that's just their favourite artist. They want to tattoo exactly like them, and that's an opportunity for them to grab onto that information. So I have no issue with anyone do the seminars, do whatever you want. I think that's absolutely fine and totally separate.
I went to Jamie Lee Knott's one. And just to see what it was like, you know, to be honest with you, because I'm thinking of doing some for myself, but and I wanted to see what he was doing, and I thought Jamie's was really good. And he asked me at the end of it, he said, "Did you learn anything?" I went, "Mate, there's at least one thing that I think is brilliant that I'll take away from this, you know." And I think after you've been in doing it, you know, for 20 years, if you can take one thing away from every seminar, then you're doing well. I mean, we never stop learning. We all know that, and so you need to have that. This is another thing that I worry about these people doing these schools, is that I don't think I've done more than scratch the surface of what is possible with tattooing, because I don't think you can in a lifetime. And these guys are coming out going, I fucking know everything and I'm going to teach everybody how to do it properly. And I've been doing it 2 weeks.
They're all the self-proclaimed best in the world, isn't it?
I know, I've been doing it 20 fucking years. I'm not even sure I'm the best tattooist in my shop. Do you know what I mean? So... And I think that worries me as well, that we're we're going to see a whole set of people that come in that just don't understand what this is all about, and I'm not sure that they'll understand the significance of the Polynesian ceremonies that happen at the beginning of a lot of conventions, when the guys come in and they do that traditional ceremony and everything, which, pulls at me a lot. There's something, as a tattooist, there's something in my DNA that I've got some connection to those guys. I'm not Polynesian or anything like that, but I feel there's like a connection between what historically that is and what I'm doing, I'm not sure these people will even give a fuck about all that sort of stuff. They'll just be some blokes in nappies with sticks that you don't care about. I bet he ain't got a good car like me. I'm not sure if I'm honest, I'm not sure if they'll even get to that point. I'm not, I think it's more likely there'll be a load of like really shit, low quality private studios open that are going to cause like really heavy handed last minute legislation to the industry that we don't want. And I think what you're doing, and what I'm going to try and do if I can, is I think we got to get in front of it.
Oh, 100%.
So one of the things I'm going to put in here, in the document that I was talking about, that I was reading to Sam, there is an email address that you can give feedback about this stuff. Now, I believe personally that just like Reach Ink, the reason that the two Reach Inks that were banned, the blue and the green, they were banned because of fears for public health, right? And that was the reason they used for banning them. I actually think that we have an equal argument to ban tattoo schools based on a danger to public health.
Well, I read the Public Health Act because of that, and I posted like a thing just to like the group chat where there was a bunch of people trying to work on the government stuff. I'm like, there's 100% something in there because it is a genuine concern for public health. Of course, it has to be, especially the shit I'm seeing. Like the fact that the videos that I've posted are on the internet from the people that made it says it all. Like, imagine what we
you don't know
see.
what you're fucking doing. I mean, you're wildly...
They posted that with absolute confidence. There was fuck all going wrong. And every tattoo artist is watching that like, oh my God, toes curling watching those videos. And it's like, they've posted that, so imagine what they don't post.
Beth showed me a couple of those, and I genuinely thought I was looking at Snake Pit.
Mm-hmm.
That Instagram thing where they just post all the worst tattoos in the world, and I was like, "What? You found something on Snake Pit?" She went, "No, this is on somebody's profile. They're proudly going, look at this, smashed it." And I'm like, "Well, you smashed their fucking arm to bits. I mean, that's never going to heal for a start." And to me, we got laser in the shop, so we see all of the fucking this stuff coming in. And before now, it is common. It happens more and more often. We have clients coming in to book a laser session with a dressing still on the tattoo that they're going to have lasered off. They've literally walked out of a shop and gone, fuck me, what am I going to do? And they come straight to us and go, when can you laser this?
I think that's why there's not a lot of repercussions for these situations, because I still think that people on a client side of things are quite worried about saying something to a tattoo artist. Not all, but a lot are. Like, they don't want to be like, complaining. It's like, and there's no one to complain to other than the person that's just done it. There's no boss, there's no head of, there's no body for them to go to take these complaints to. So it just gets washed away. And I know we've always had scratches, but it's been on a minimal scale compared to where it is now and where it's going to go very fast.
Let's be honest, let's call a spade here. What these schools are is not tattoo schools. They are scratcher schools. They are turning out scratchers, a modern day scratcher. And
it's probably controversial to say, but some scratchers
I don't think
are
it's
fine.
controversial to. I don't think it's controversial.
But some are fine. It's like,
but
some of the best in the world are self-taught, and that's absolutely fine. I'm somewhat self-taught because I started to self-teach, then got a sort of apprenticeship where I just got sort of left to my own devices. But there was a guy there who I could ask certain things of, but it wasn't what you'd call a traditional apprenticeship. But I think certain people were going to get good regardless how they started off. Tattoo school, apprenticeship, or tattooing on their own, figuring it out off YouTube was always going to become the best in the world because they have a certain set of skills that fits tattooing specifically.
Yeah.
But that's the 1%, not the 99, and we have to cater to the 99, not the 1%.
See, I don't think of scratchers in that respect. What I think of, because in case you don't know, when somebody is referred to as a scratcher is like an old tattoo term, right? And it meant unprofessional artist not working in a shop, right? But the thing is, what you would find generally, the difference in the mindset is a tattoo artist is interested in making a really good job and making a really beautiful piece of artwork that everybody can be proud of. And a scratcher is interested in getting paid.
Okay.
And that for me, it's money first. I'll just do whatever tattoo I can do to get paid. Most tattooists are interested in the art, and the money is a byproduct of being really good at your art. Most scratchers want to say they're a tattooist to get as much money as they can out of it. And I think these schools, based on that old description, these are not tattoo schools, these are scratcher schools. Because all they're turning out is people that are not going to come into the industry. They're going to do the mildly legal version of having their own private studio because they're not going to get jobs in studios. So they're just going to open their own places. And they're the people that are going to create what I think is a public health emergency where people are going to get hepatitis. God forbid we get an HIV outbreak or something like that, you know. Because amputation, you know, like I said to you, like 2 piercing studios in Wales ended up, you know, the bacteria was so bad it was resistant to antibiotics. You know, like, now, these are the people that are going to cause this. Now, some of these people might be exactly the people that you're worried about that have done this with the best will in the world and just really want to do the job. And what I want to do is tell them there is a better way to do this. Don't take the shortcut. Take the long route, because if you really, really want to do it, then wherever possible, do it properly. 90% of what you do in a mentoring thing is you're taught this is how to do it, and then you have to practice it for fucking weeks until you understand it. That's really how tattooing teaching works. It's like, okay, here's a technique. Practice this until you've nailed this technique. Now we'll move on to the next one. Now we'll move on to the next one. Now let's try and combine them all together. And I think that, you know, for anybody out there listening who's thinking about going to one of these tattoo schools, obviously only in the UK. I know you have to do it in certain parts of the world, but if you're in the UK, don't do it. Because there isn't one that I can find that's any good. I was looking to find you a shining example of a fabulous school that's done really well, and there just fucking isn't one that I can find. Right? Yeah. They're fucking.
And the thing
arseholes.
is, it's like look at the people selling you this course.
Yes.
Look at what they stand for. Look at what they gain from this. Mega money. Yeah. Look at the people who are telling you not to do it. I gain fuck all from what I'm doing currently. It doesn't affect.
No.
And I said this to someone the other day, like, look, I could probably get to the end of my career where the age I want to retire from tattooing, have a consistent client base, do nice work, earn decent money. Yeah. Doesn't affect me. It's because they're creating new competition. It's not. And that's not an arrogant thing to say. Even if 1% of them are going to be as good or better than me, by the time they are, I'm probably not going to be tattooing anymore. Yeah. So it makes no difference to me, and I don't get any financial aid from saying what I've been saying. It's genuinely to help the people out.
Yeah, we're not gaining anything from this. Lal Hardy said something really good to me years ago. He said, the thing about tattooing, if you really care about it, what happens is we walk into tattooing and we make a living. We take fruit off the tree that is tattooing. And if you've got anything about you, before you leave tattooing, you should water the tree. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're all looking to do. Is like, I've come in, I've made a really good living. My kids make a really good living. It's changed my family's life. I care deeply about this industry. Some of my best friends in the world are tattooists now. And I want to water the tree and leave. I would like to leave tattooing in a slightly better place than where I found it. And I don't want history to judge my generation of tattooists as the people that stood by and watched it get sold out and didn't do anything about it and just worried about how many followers on fucking Instagram they've got. You know, it's not okay. I want to be able to go, like, it was a pain in the arse, and I'd rather not have had to do it, but we set up accredited schools in tattooing, and now kids can learn properly. And
it's a headache for me, and
it's a fucking
headache for you.
Actually,
a million things I'd rather be doing than being online.
We're doing the opposite of these people. Instead of making 30 bags a fucking course, like, some of these people are making, we're actually losing money
Of
doing
course.
stuff like this because we could be tattooing, right? We're actually doing it at our expense rather than, it'll pay for my next holiday or my next set of fucking stupid
Well,
wheels for me
the
car
new
or whatever.
generation, the next generation of tattooers is going to have a totally different experience of the industry than what we've had, and
Yeah.
not in a good way. It's going to be a fucking clown show for them. They're going to be surrounded by people only asked about money. Like, that's it. Zero creativity happening. Everyone's an influencer. All the nice social aspects of finding people that you actually connect with on, like, our level. It's like the genuine artists are going to have an awful time if that's the industry that's now being formed.
Based on what you've just said, I've got a final question for you, Sam, and then I'll let you go. Do you think, given what you've just said about what the next generation of tattooists can look forward to, do you think that we should be doing exactly what you've just done more? That we should be calling people out, naming
100%.
fucking names. We should be more militant. We should employ a bit of cancel culture in the world of tattooing, because everybody seems to me like they're too afraid to go, this fucking guy is ripping kids off. It's
100%.
fucking wrong. And like you've had it, like, why don't you just stay out of it and just keep your head down?
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
I've had people like try and come for me on a personal level. I don't give a fuck, and I don't think there's anything they can come for me for. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm like I'm nice, I'm kind, I'm moral.
Yeah.
I've not done anything bad to people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've just given my fucking shop away, for God's sake, so no one can call me like a money person. Fucking,
No,
it's not
exactly.
me at all.
No,
And I'm not going for these people mostly I don't know them. I don't know them personally. Am I
course.
judging them personally? Obviously, because I think what they're doing is, and they know it, is morally wrong. So, of course, it is a slight personal attack.
I mean, the way they're defending it.
But I'm 100% on board with call them out by name, fucking tag them in whatever you want. Like, I don't know what people are, but that's a big artist, or they're a real good artist. Yeah, but they're a cunt. So call it for what it is. You can be a good artist and a cunt.
Yeah, exactly. You can be really good at drawing and be an utter cunt. We've both met a few of them. I think I've probably been one of them at some point in my career as well. Not my best luck.
It's the same. Like, I don't know if you even want to go there, but like, it's not the same as like a tattoo school thing, but it's still on the morals. I'm sure you've seen the rise in it of the whole, I've done a full outer arm in a day, a back piece in a day, or a back piece in 2 days. That thing. Same boat for me in terms of morally.
Just because you can. Like, have you ever asked yourself if you should? Yeah. Should
and
you?
It's like, I understand there'll be some clients that really want that. If someone asked me for that, I'd tell them why they shouldn't want that and why there is a better decision. But why would there's certain artists out there promoting it? And it's like, some of it's passable work. It's like, it's fine. Some of it's dog shit by the same artist I can look at and be like, that piece you did was absolutely awful. That piece is all right. None of it's great though. And
no, it looks great from a distance in the dark. Yeah.
What you could have done instead is do a better tattoo, because that's on someone forever. It's not just your picture on Instagram, like your niche of doing a full thing in a day. I think a lot of people talking about this, and again, no one's saying it online. And I'm just past the point of caring. Like, I don't care. Like, if someone, you're asking for my opinion on a podcast, so I'll say it, and I think they can get in the bin as well.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I've seen people trying to knock out a 3-day rib cage piece on a guy, and when the guy said at the end of day 2, I can't do it. I watched two professional artists, I use that term loosely, essentially trying to bully this guy into lying there, and they were covering him an open wound. They were covering it with topical anaesthesia, which is not supposed to be used on fucking open wounds. You're not supposed to use things like some of these like Emlers and Amatops and things like that. Some of them you can use, but they weren't using that. They were wanting to use, some of these things that are not designed for that. And I'm like, you have absolutely no fucking care for the client at all. It's just all about whether you can win that prize. And I won't do more than 2-day sittings. Like I won't do 3 days at a time, unless I've had 2 clients in the last 10 years that have told me they're extremely motivated and know what. And one of them was a fucking Marine from America, and I was like, fuck, he was like Terminator. He was fine, never moaned for 4 days. But I really worried all the way through, because I was like, I'm not sure if this will heal, mate. And then I saw him a year later, and the whole thing's healed perfect. And I was like, brilliant. But my experience is, I don't like to put in a single day more than the size of your fist in ink, Like, so if you spread that out, it's about A4. So I like to do A4 per day. I think that's good. It doesn't stress the immune system. You can heal that really easy. A lot of my clients are older, so I have to take that into consideration, that their healing process is slower. If they were in their 20s, I might push it more. But like, these are guys in their 40s and 50s, and so I'm like, do you know what, man? Like, the whole body slows down. It's like, let's just baby it through it. And all I do is I just charge less money, right? It's like to make it affordable. And it's like, well, you can still
just
afford
comes
it.
into play. It's like, I tattoo a lot of people for like 4 days consecutively because of what I'm trying to achieve and how long it takes, and silly long sessions sometimes. But so many times, like literally this week, he was booked in for a few days, but we had to call it because he was fine. But I didn't like the way he'd put some cream on the day before a tattoo, what he'd not used before we tattooed the skin, and it broke him out in a bit of a rash. And I didn't like the way it was looking like it was trying to affect the tattoo. So I lost money because obviously I'm not going to charge him for time when I'm deciding we're not doing any more days. The guy was booked for 3 days. We tattooed for 1. Yeah. But I'm not, do you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to push it with certain situations or clients. And I have it, a lot of people try and book in for like 4 or 5 days. I'm like, how heavily tattooed are you? And what's the longest you've sat before? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, and sometimes I'm like, right, okay, well, I'll book you for the week, but we'll just do it day by day and see sort of where we are. Goes. Yeah, of course. But my bottom line's always like, I said about we tattoo the other week till like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 6 in the morning. That was because I was not going to rush that tattoo. I'm going to do it the best I can, which means it takes that long. Like these people that are doing, I've done a back piece in 8 hours. It's like, but it looks like it. It's all done with a 23 mag. Its composition's crap. There's so much open skin and it's not fully saturated and there's zero detail. Like why? Yeah. Why would you do that to someone? And they can't all be like, oh, the client wanted it like that. I'm like, so if you showed them something better, they'd have said, no, thanks. I want that. I always
think with those, I don't know if you have this, but they look like, if I was painting a canvas, that looks like these ones that they talk about, smashed out this in 8 hours. I'm like, yeah, but that's the underpainting. What I would do now is I'd spend 100 hours like putting it together. If it was a painting, obviously if it was a tattoo, I would get nowhere near that in 8 hours because I've since when was tattooing a fucking race? Do you know what I mean?
When social media became like a thing of like, oh, I've got to have my thing and my thing's now this, and the crowd loves it, and it's like because it's a fucking circus show now. It's like the integrity is just going lower because people are too afraid because these are popular. By popular meaning they've got a shitload of fucking TikTok or Instagram followers. Oh, we can't say anything. It's like, guess what? You can. You can, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. That's the fun thing about the internet. They can post what they want, and I can say what I fucking want.
Say what the fuck you want, And I think it's, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that podcasty thing. Is like, because if you're listening to this on a podcast, you can't do it. But if you're listening / watching on YouTube, you won't really be watching because it's just a fucking picture of the logo, but you will be listening. There is the ability to comment. So if you want to comment down below, like mine and Sam's ideas of where tattooing needs to go in the UK, maybe you've got some insight into how it works in your country. Maybe they've set up a brilliant system. Maybe you could give us some pointers on things that we could think about. I'm sure we'd both like to read other people's ideas. That we're only two tattooists who never. Who never thought we'd have to fucking save tattooing from itself or from the influencers, but it would appear that we're getting involved.
I think more people need to get involved. That's another good thing to sign off on.
Involved. So
stop staying quiet and keeping your head down. Start piping up because otherwise you're part of that. Unfortunately, it's a classic saying, but you're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem.
Yeah, people, you're part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. And like voice your opinions. Get up in the comments and call these people out and because remember, your comment might stop some young kid from spending thousands of pounds on an absolute waste of fucking time. Our voices add volume to that. And these people need to be held accountable. And because when they talk about things like tattooing is for everybody, what they're actually saying is don't hold me accountable for anything. That's really what you're hearing. And they should be held accountable for their fucking actions and called out. Mm-hmm. And, if the government won't shut these studios down, maybe our voices will stop them from having clients and then they'll just stop. Do you know what I mean? And go on to whatever the next fucking fancy hashtag is, you know, and stay out the industry because they've got no business being here. Because all they're here to do is take fruit off the tree, to Nick Lau's analogy, and not water the tree. You know what I mean? And if you really want to do it, come in the right way. Don't look for the shortcut. You know what I mean? Go to uni, spend your money going to uni instead of going on one of these stupid tattoo courses.
Yeah, go do a fine art degree. You'll be amazing. And if someone,
you'll
I'm
be
not looking.
fucking awesome.
It's like I had this argument with someone the other day. They was like, "Oh well, I don't see your shop taking on an apprentice." It's like, look, I'm not advertising right now for an apprentice. You know, my own set of reasons. If some kid walked in tomorrow and showed me fucking paintings that looked like he was the next born Caravaggio, he'd be starting his apprenticeship that afternoon. Because I'd see it as a service to like, you have to do this.
Do you know Sneaky Mitch Allender?
Yeah, I know of him. I don't know him.
Know of him, right? So, I know I've known Mitch for years, right? Well, Mitch did his tattoo apprenticeship while he was studying fine art. I think in Leeds or Sheffield, somewhere there. And so he did it while he was doing that. Now, you've only got to look at Mitch's drawings to go, well, that's what a fucking fine art degree will do for you. You know, and his artwork is absolutely fucking amazing. So if you're going to go the route, go down the fine art route first and go there. And then you can, while you're doing it, you can walk in with an amazing portfolio of Caravaggio style painting. Somebody will give you a fucking job because we need more tattooists like that. What we don't need
most
is
studios or artists will 100%, if you walk in with like absolutely insane artwork, will be like, yes, purely out of respect for the craft. Like, you should be a tattoo artist. You really should. It's going to be great to see what you bring to this, this world, which is the opposite of the gatekeeping and you're worried about the next generation. I'm not worried about people that can't fucking draw. Clearly, obviously, we want the great artists. I want to see what they're doing. Yeah. No,
we're not gatekeeping to keep all the artists out. We just want to keep the cunts out the industry. You know, that's why we need gatekeepers. Because I completely agree with you. You know, I mean, it's like any kid that learns to draw and walks in with a beautiful portfolio is going to get a studio somewhere to teach them. Because we all believe it or not, you know, the proper tattoo artists around the world are not afraid of you being better than them. Actually, we all relish the competition, to be honest with you. We all go, yeah, okay, because it keeps me fired up and inspired. Right, exactly.
The biggest competition I seek them out and we're friends. And vice versa.
Exactly.
Like, we're literally friends with the people who are our greatest competition because it builds us, it feeds us to be around those people. We don't see it as like, oh, bloody hell, you stole my client. No, tattoo collectors. It's great. I feel it's like a sign of respect. Like, you chose me to sit my work next to their work. Brilliant. Oh, wow, that's so great. It's cool.
Yeah. And I think people get the wrong end of the stick. It's like we're not shutting the door on anybody any good because we want the best people in the art form. Actually, it reminds me of something. I'm going to be talking to Alex DePass imminently, and he's got a tattoo school, which is half of it is like fine art. You know, in Venice. And I want to talk to him about that because, you know, that's turning out some fucking outrageously good artists, you know.
Like, Italy,
Jesus
of
Christ. Well, home of the Renaissance and all that, you know. But I don't think there's any fear in certainly the art area of tattooing that I work in where people are intimidated. They're just inspired and blown away and go, right, fucking hell, I want to get my pencils out and work harder. I had a fantastic conversation in Venice with a lad who'd been tattooing for 6 years. Right? I think he was younger than my son, and the fucking piece that he was working on was outrageous. But and honestly, I didn't walk away going, "Oh, bastard, he's better than me." I was like, "Fucking hell!" I just couldn't get my breath about. I was like,
I bet the next thing he did was go and show everyone that would listen his work. Oh, come and look at this.
Yeah,
come and look at this.
I found him on Instagram and went,
guy.
look at this.
Yeah.
I've seen this in real life. It's amazing. It's I can't believe this. He's only been doing this for 6 years. Like, fucking hell. Can you imagine? Like, in a few years' time, there could be people that are, you know, because I mean, we're at a point now where you can probably learn in 3 years what it took to take. It took a decade.
Of course,
to learn.
Things are definitely easier to learn because the tools
but
are
not
easier.
2 weeks. not 2 weeks. You know,
if anything, they're
just
breeding their own
works.
competition. The type of people teaching these courses are breeding their own competition. You're not our competition.
No.
You're just theirs.
You're going to be competing for the infinity symbols and the little the stuff that the beauticians are fucking up at the moment with their fucking fantastic fine line skills, which are laughably shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, why would you? I know a couple of people that have come in from that route. Like you said, the good people will find their way in. I know a couple of great artists who started doing that, but then they went to proper tattoo studios and went, no, I want to do this. I've been doing, lips and, and eyebrows, but now I really want to do proper tattoos. And they sat down and did proper apprenticeships. And they're fucking great artists, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't always matter.
No, and the only other argument that there is left really is the people where they're saying, but I can't do an apprenticeship because I'm X amount of years old. How am I supposed to live? What am I supposed to do? Every excuse under the sun why they can't. And it's like, unfortunately, life is hard. And like myself, I was 24 when I started. I had to work. I worked in a bar at night and tattooed every day. 7 days a week in a studio, bar at night. Was it fucking exhausting? Yeah. Does it mean I want everyone to find it hard? No, of course not. If it was government funded, brilliant. But it's not, and we can't change that. But
have you got any final shots you want to fire, Sam?
It's probably loads, but maybe I shouldn't. I want a peaceful week this week. I've got a busy one. So.
Well, don't worry, this won't be out this week. It's going to take me a minute to edit it. So what we'll have to do is you'll have to come back for part 2. And we'll see how this one goes, and then we'll just we'll do shots fired with Sam and Paul every now and again.
Yeah, start my hit list now. I'm sorry, they've all blocked me. People have blocked me who I've not even outed yet. I think like fuck this. I'm not getting outed.
Beth's been blocked by a bunch of them because she started commenting because she's she don't mind around my daughter, so she's like a dad. Of course. And she's in the studio with me all the time. She's got no chance. So she's been blocked by just about all of them now. Because she's, exactly the same as my son and my daughter. They all grew up with me, so they're fucking gobby little twats, like the same as I am,
That's where I get it from, coming to you when I was doing my apprenticeship. You taught me well.
It is what it is. Fuck them. I think what I said to you from memory was like, if they hate you, hate them back. It works for me. You know what I mean? I think it's as simple as that. That doesn't count if you run a tattoo school, though. What you should do is shut your doors today and fuck off and stop ripping young kids off and selling them dreams that you can't deliver on.
I want to hear one of them actually tell us why they're doing it, because it'll be laughable. Because I can imagine they're going to try and sell it on we want to have more people in the industry, and it's all lies. Like, look at them. Really look at who they are.
Okay, so let's find out. All right, so here is an open call. If you've got a tattoo school and you would like to come and answer the charges that me and Sam have made to you, you will be welcome on the podcast, and you'll get the same as every guest that I have on the podcast hears the podcast before it goes out. No, I don't just put these things out. Every artist hears it. And so if you want to come and answer your detractors and your critics, then by all means, email me and we'll have a conversation. Not that I think any of them will email me, but I'd like to think that somebody would come on and defend themselves.
One might.
Yeah.
Oliver was asking me to go on his podcast before I outed him.
Yeah.
I think he must have known he was next on the chopping block. He was messaging me, trying to ask my thoughts and stuff, and I was sort of back and forth in a little bit, just saying exactly what I've said here, basically. Wanted me to go on his podcast, to which I was like, yeah, okay, fine, do that on Sunday if you want. It's like, we can discuss it there. We've obviously got different opinions. I started to rethink it a bit and actually thought, maybe I'm going to ask Paul, which is why I texted you when he was in Berlin, because I thought I'd rather you host it, because I didn't trust if I was going to be clicked or edited or giving someone else a platform. So
yeah.
But
I don't do that.
He blocked me the next day, so I don't know if he wants. Yeah, after I outed him, but he might come on because he was quite vocally trying to compare what he does to the likes of professional artists doing seminars, saying, basically his argument is, people starting out can still go and access them seminars and learn from that, though. So technically, they're still teaching beginners. My argument was obviously, tattoo machines exist, beginners can get them, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't exist. That's stupid. It's not what they're doing isn't aimed at beginners. Yeah, it's a massive leap. It's like, Jesus, it's like you're literally giving away a free tattoo machine on the end of your course, but in the same breath telling me, but I'm telling them not to go tattoo people. Like, and I'm sure they're going to listen, mate.
Yeah.
I know, exactly.
But if he's listening, he can come on. He can come on the podcast. I'll go and take his course and take some cameras with me, and we'll film the process. We'll film how it's done, and I'll give, because I can give an honest thing. I'm not here to...
The bonus is it's only a 3-day course, so less time off work for yourself, because you can learn everything in 3 days on that one, and you get a free tattoo machine. So
fuck it, another free fucking tattoo machine.
And you should go on all of them, get all your certificates.
Just get all my certificates on the wall.
World's best tattoo artist, Paul Talbot. Every course there is.
Every course there is. But I just think it would be interesting if these guys, because obviously our opinion is fuck this. Fuck tattoo schools. Fuck this shit. It's absolute nonsense. But maybe there's some stuff that they think they are genuinely providing a service that tattooing can't. I personally don't think they do. I think that all of it comes. No. I don't know how you feel about it.
It's funny how it's all at the same time when a certain someone has a very nice certain car. And suddenly everyone wants to open a tattoo school off the back of, we just want to help people learn. Like, all right. You've not seen the popularity of a certain thing and thought, I want a piece of that pie.
Well, I think it's the same with all the podcasts that are out there. Everybody's doing unboxing videos and opening tattoo machines and reviewing them and reviewing ink and everything. Like, I mean, it's great for the companies because it means that there's people out there doing that. But what they're basically doing is building QVC for the world of tattooing. So one tattooist starts doing it, and then before you know it, every tattooist on the planet is now doing unboxing videos. It's like you can't go on Instagram now without watching people reacting to other people tattooing because one person did it.
I fucking hate that. I tell you who's the only one. There's a couple. Might as well carry on.
Yeah, welcome to the never-ending outro. You know how this works. We're just going to keep going until Summit runs out.
There's good ones, there's always been tattoo sharing platforms which are fine, especially like I love the Tattoo Realistic one. I think they've got a massive platform, done great. The guy who runs it's actually a tattoo artist. Yeah. He's never shows who he is, never posts his own work. He's genuinely, he collects artwork off his favourite artist and just wants to share that with everybody. And then there's the guy who does the, I forgot his actual name now. Really popular one, but he showcases artists from all over the world, different styles, talks about that style. I think he presents that in a great way. It's very respectable, very diverse, X, Y, Z. But the fucking guy I was out in the other day, Ben Fisher, who doesn't even tattoo as far as I can tell anymore, unless it's on some luxury celebrity situation, whatever. It's just leeching. It's like you're doing it for views.
Yeah.
Because that artist's great, always the same few artists, real nice put together videos, just you talking about it. Yeah. And that gets you views on YouTube, TikTok, everything else. And then off the back of that, you're pushing your tattoo course. Yeah. So it's just, it's another leech. It's just like a cancer on the industry right now, all of them.
It's people using other people's work and as a leg up, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, and to me, I question that because, like you've identified, they're just doing it for clicks and views, and there is a monetary factor in that because if you've got a big YouTube channel and you monetize it, unlike this YouTube channel which is not monetized on purpose, that you can pull in a little bit of money, right? And so it's always like follow the money. Somebody's earning from this, and so I doubt very much that when he reviews the videos, he gives the artist some money for being able to use their video. I don't think that's even probably part of the conversation. It'll all be like, it's good for your career. And how many artists have heard that only to get shafted? I'm pretty sure
the only person, one of the main ones he showcases is Victoria Lee, who's, fucking incredible. And I'm pretty sure doesn't need you to showcase her work.
No, exactly. I mean, she's doing just fine, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is all, like I said to you at the top of the show, I think this is influencer culture, not tattooist culture. Because if you look at the tattoo influencers or the influencers, that this is all their playbook. It's like reaction videos, unboxing videos, I'm going to do this video, and it's all of those kind of things. I mean, how long before somebody says, I'm going to do a tattoo whilst skydiving, and, I'm going to do a tattoo whilst doing a backflip on a motocross bike. I mean, that's going to be the kind of thing that we're going to jump into. And that's when, like you said, it becomes a fucking circus. Now, most of the tattooists out there, certainly that I speak to, they don't even want to do Instagram, let alone become a fucking influencer. They just want to make artwork and be done with it. You know what I mean?
But that's why, a lot of great artists are just being like, we're not, I don't think, losing work, but our voices are quieter because we're not doing that. It gets overshadowed by all these ones that are louder. Yeah. But,
But does
And
then
that's the impression of the industry then people have, and it's
so
like,
here's another
how can you
idea I
fight
have
it?
for you. Is there an argument then? The internet is shit and it's all
Mm-hmm.
nonsense. Do we have an argument for the magazines starting to really, really heavily curate what they do? And so if you really want to see the best of tattooing, that you instead of turning to the internet, you turn to a dedicated tattoo magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the resurgence, a bit like vinyl and all this sort of stuff, is that the resurgence of the printed tattoo mag that you don't just get to get in, you have to be fucking good to get in it.
You
and
can't
it has
pay
that,
to get in it.
Yeah, but not pay, you can't, not pay,
Yeah,
not be able
you can't
to pay.
pay to get in.
You can't
Yeah.
pay to get in. You can't, the amount of fucking ones that I've won for fake magazines where they tell me I've been nominated for Tattoo Artist of the fucking Decade and I have to buy a plaque or some bullshit like that. It's not even a real magazine. I'm like I said to you, I'm like, Tattooist of the Decade. I don't even think I'm the best tattooist in my shop, mate. Like, fucking, how the fuck did I win that? And so to me, I think that if we went back to a place where getting in the magazine was like winning an award again, and that magazines weren't trying to mimic Instagram, do you know what I mean? I hope you're listening, Perry. This is a good idea for you. And they were
Yeah, I think everyone,
curated.
not just artists, but like the people surrounding the tattoo artists, there's wider aspects of the industry, like the conventions, like the media side of it. It's like, I think everyone needs to somewhat start taking a level of accountability and integrity to what do you want the future of this industry to actually become and be? Because everyone just cashing in and trying to please everyone clearly doesn't work.
So I think, given that your headphones have gone off and we've got a weird delay, I'm like talking now as if I'm on the Eurovision Song Contest. I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say, Sam, thanks very much for being with me. Thanks very much for the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating as ever. And I'm glad that you're the one getting into trouble and not me now, because it makes a nice change, to be honest with you. Because I think somebody should take over the mantle of the one that causes the trouble. So I'm very happy to pass the torch to you. And let it be that. Sam, thanks very much for joining me.
I feel like you planned this 12 years ago when you first had me in, like, oh, she'll do. Yeah. I'm going to,
Do you know, because I tattooed you when you were an apprentice, people think you were my apprentice.
Yeah.
But whenever anybody says that to me, I just go, yeah, I taught Sam everything she knows. It's not true, for the record, but I'm going to claim it anyway.
Yeah, you did.
Mate, it's been lovely chatting to you, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
No worries, mate. Try in a bit.